All right, welcome back to Finding Truth Podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan back again for another action-packed episode. We got episode 93. Decided to do a little bit of theming for today's episode. I hinted at it last week. I didn't know if that's what we're going to stick with. Unfortunately, I haven't had the most time to go into a lot of the research and stuff that I've already kind of done before having this, be a themed episode. I wanted to have a presentation, point being, and I have a small presentation. It's missing a lot. There's a lot more to it. I just didn't have the time to put it all together. Although the knowledge is still up here, and we can always go over, more things as we're presenting. I can, bring up other links and other things because there's certainly an avenue that I wanted to go into with the theme of being Aleister Crowley and Thelema. Basically because Thelema is all about the number 93, or I should say all about, but I mean, it is, but you'd have to know why it's about 93 and the sayings that use gematria and in order to ascertain those numbers. But anyway, I do have a small presentation planned. Hopefully we can expound upon that and make it worthwhile, because it is a broad topic to talk about, and especially in the lens of gematria, especially even English gematria, it plays into that heavily, and we'll go over some of those reasons why, and it kind of starts to open up a branching topic with gematria's usefulness or use, or whether or not it is even being used, or what it is for. And if you're a part of Zach's community, Gematria Effect News, Number Games, or even King Richard's as well, you'll know that it's those questions are rhetorical. But for someone who might not know about it, we will be talking about it. And even those who, are into the gematria, English gematria, things of that nature, there might be some nuggets that you didn't know about the connections with Aleister Crowley and things of that associated with him, and society is associated with his society, and things of that nature that play into our modern understanding of what we call gematria. And of course there's hundreds of ciphers, but we stick to the 4 base ciphers for the most part, but there are other ones to be discussed in this particular presentation. There are other ciphers harkened upon, used in Thelema and his other societies, and we'll go over some of that. But we are going to open up with just a quick NASCAR check-in, because I do want to stay up on it. Also, you know what? Hold on 1 second, because I do want to highlight a comment I got. Now, I don't want this at all to come across like unappreciative or rude or anything like that, and I hope that is not taken that way. But it's just simply how it is. I tend to speak how it is. I'm not very, very versed. Well, I am versed. I understand that people want to be pacified and want to hear the sweet nothings. I'm not very good at doing that, dealing with things in that manner. I'm much more blunt and abrupt, not to hurt anyone's feelings. If it happens, it happens. In my opinion, whether my feelings are hurt or whether your feelings are hurt, those are personal issues. But anyway, I did want to highlight a comment because it does have to do with this NASCAR thing, but this way it's at the open and people can hear it, right off the bat, and kind of understand what's going on going forward. Because one thing I will say, I love doing this podcast. I love doing this every single week, whether there's anything to present or not. Me and Austin have obviously had a long streak of being able to carry a conversation and talk about things, and which ends up always leading to some one of us finding out something that seems groundbreaking at the time. But all that's, of course, on the channel. You can check those out. But yeah, lately it's just been solo logo. of course, we've had many guests, and I'm super grateful for that. And I think we will have another one tonight, repeat guest. But I wanted to kind of highlight a comment that I received, and just so that there is no misconceptions. Really, it's not to hate on anyone or anything like that. I appreciate this comment, and in fact, heavily, I appreciate this comment. Now, hold on, I do got to fix my presentation square. Sorry, I have it set to the wrong thing. That's what the. Sorry, on my end, it's like when I do that, I can't. Oh, there we go. There we go. But why is it so tiny? You guys can't see it, but on my actual like StreamYard, the presentation box is like either tiny. I can enlarge it and it's all fine. I guess I can rock with that for a while. I just will have to tab out. But anyway, I'm assuming hopefully that's not going to keep lagging. Anyway, I can't tell if it's lagging or not. The image is lagging. I can't tell any of that. It's very weird. I do have two monitors, but just the way it's set up, I can't see it. So hopefully this is coming through all right. I can remove that banner. Make it a little easier to see. And I wonder why it does do that. Well, this is fine as it is. I just wish it would be a little bigger. I guess that's fine. It might have been that I was zoomed in too much. So I've kind of fixed it. But anyway, sorry about that, guys. Anyway, this comment I got a couple days ago from Jimi Hendrix on YouTube. He says, I'm an hour and a half in and no mention of Jimmy Johnson or 13. Guess I'll keep watching and see what happens. Now, I'm assuming he's talking about Jimmy Johnson second to last race being this race that I briefly talked about in the beginning of the episode. Then I had a guest come on and we broached other topics. I did look into what he asked about. I didn't get any further correspondence from him. So I'm hoping that what he was talking about is the fact that Jimmy Johnson plans on, fully retiring from the sport. After the next race he does, I think he has one more race planned and then he'll be done. So I'm assuming that that's what this person was talking about. I don't know whether or not he played into the ritual of, I already forgot the name of the poor boy who won last week. We did talk about it briefly because he was related to the topic at hand of this episode, the Davy Chase death. I can't remember his name. Anyway, I don't know if Jimmy Johnson being included into this race had anything to do with it. He also ran trucks that week and finished poor, like DNF'd in the trucks and, finished almost dead last in this race. I don't know if there's something else that he wanted me to understand about Jimmy Johnson or the number 13 too. I'm not clear on either one of these. And this is kind of why I highlighted this is I appreciate the comment and your inquiry, but I don't know what heads or tails of what I'm supposed to know about what you're saying. If you're inferring that I should know because I'm like researching all week, that's what I'm kind of here to clear up. I'm not researching all week. Last season, me and Austin had a lot more time during the NASCAR season. Both of our lives have shifted very drastically to where, and that's pretty evident with the beginning of this season and even at the end of last season. Me personally, I have a young one on the way, a lot of planning to do. We own a property, so I have a lot of extracurricular chores I have to do daily, weekly, on top of working a full-time job. So it's not to say that the time isn't there. It's just that time does get used up not for nothing. It's, spent with my family doing things other things I enjoy doing. And I do try to make room for decodes and stuff to bring to you guys that are a fan of NASCAR and other things like that. But as I've always said, it's much appreciated when, I'm aided in those efforts and there's, information shared. I'm not here to just give out information. I would much rather it be a conglomerate, source of information from lots of different people. And so I won't read my whole reply here, but it basically is just to say, if I have a NASCAR decode at the beginning of an episode, it's because I had time to do a NASCAR decode earlier in the week. That does not happen every single week. I wish I had a more formulaic life. I think. I mean, maybe I don't wish I had it because I thoroughly enjoy the life I have and how it's ups and downs and how it works. But it's just not. It's not feasible in the framework of my life right now, and so I'm kind of addressing this just so not just this person, but anyone moving forward. If you have questions or if you have additions to things, just hit us up in the comments or leave a more poignant comment here rather than just, mid watching the video. I guess you paused it to talk, like after an hour and a half, you paused it to see if I would talk about Jimmy Johnson. I'm not trying to hate or anything like that. It's just that, it would have been a lot. I think it would have been more poignant if you were to just tell me what about Jimmy Johnson or 13 that I was supposed to know, and maybe I could have had looked into it and been another pair of eyes on it, rather than just kind of critiquing that I didn't. So it's there's that, and there's also the fact that it's not always a formulaic setting on this show. It never has been. So I don't, it somewhat has been during last NASCAR season. Me and Austin were definitely on it a lot more. So I will give you that it was much more structured towards a NASCAR start. And then if we had something to add, something else to talk about, we went into it. But it hasn't been that way for several weeks now. And, if you're just here, I don't even have Austin here as of late. And so it's, the structure is definitely not what it used to be. And it would be a lot more constructive if I got the tips and hints and stuff ahead of time rather than just giving a goose chase to chase myself. That's kind of what I'm up against. I already do that, and I do find enjoyment in doing that, but I don't always have the time to do it. So when I don't have the time to do it, I can either fit it in during the stream. So like doing some in the moment lookups of the race, which I plan on doing just briefly, because once again, this week I did not have a decode. Although I will tell you, if you were to ask me who I thought would win, I would have said the winner, which was SVG. And Austin was on it as well. He's even, on record in the comment section saying who he thought he would win. But unfortunately, I didn't have time to put a decode together. But yeah, just for you guys' information, that the format it's ever changing. It changes each week, or it has the possibility to change each week. I'm not under a strict formula here. So anything you guys want me to talk about, which I say every single episode, you can either feel free to hit me up in the email so you can join the show, which would be awesome, or you can leave that information in the comment section or in the email, and I'll try to fit it into the episode. And this is no disrespect towards I'm not trying to single out Jimi Hendrix. I'm just using his comment as a framework for why I want this to be at the beginning of the episode, so everyone listening hears it and it isn't confused moving forward. But once again, I invited him in the comment, but I'll invite you here too. Jimi Hendrix, if you got more you want to talk about regarding NASCAR and you have stuff to share, please join the show, or leave a fat comment or an email, and I will try to fit it in and name drop you, or if you want to be name dropped or whatever, you will be included. I want a sense of community here. I don't want it to be I'm not here to steal people's ideas or anything like that. Not of the sort. I got too many ideas to take on anymore. But yeah, I just wanted to address that at the beginning. That way it's, a little more clear than I think it has been. But without further ado, we do have our recurring guest who, if I were to be a betting man, would, I put a small parlay on this individual joining the host category. In fact, I'm willing to call him at least a guest host at this point. Never mind just guest. But without further ado, we do have Uncommon Truth Shaman back again. How's it going, brother?
Not too bad. How are you doing this evening?
I am doing well. Did just take the time out to address a little bit of confusions with the channel, or at least the format of the channel, but that should be all squared away.
That's right.
So I was going to at least highlight, because like I was saying, I don't have a decode for this race. I wish I had time to, but like I also said, if you were to ask me who I thought was going to win, it would have been Shane Van Gisbergen. The one thing I can point out is, if anyone was paying attention last week to the trucks, this gentleman, I think Lane, is his name Lane? Yeah, Lane Riggs. NASCAR went ahead and made a pun, a little name pun with this gentleman, because he won last week as well. Let's go. Or was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. Sorry about that. But point being is, that's right, because I'm saying the last road course. He won the last road course. That's what I was thinking. And they made a little name pun with him. If I could pull it up, I would. I don't feel like hunting it down, but they called him Lane Van Rigsbergen. That's what they called him after his win last week. And I was like, that's interesting. And then if you guys are familiar with, or 2 weeks ago, sorry. But if you're familiar with what happened to SVG in the last road course, I guess that was last week. But they crashed him pretty late in the race. And we had, of course, a first-time winner and another 23XI. He doesn't race in the Cup Series. Man, I already forgot the damn dude's name. Struggle on that.
The truck dude?
No. The winner last week.
Corey
Haim. Corey Haim. Yes, of course. Yeah, so we talked about this, his role and why he won, or at least from my perspective, why he won, and things of that nature. I just wanted to point out that we have another week where Lane Riggs takes a win. And where is it? Here we go. Oops, this one. Nope. Where is it? What am I tripping on?
Did that say Little Rock has a track?
Little Rock? Probably.
That next race over, Nassman, that one right there. Oh, no.
Lime Rock Park.
I said Little Rock. Never
mind. Okay, well. Oh, maybe they had I might be tripping. Maybe they had an off week. Or maybe I'm just thinking that he won last week. But what was
he dominated that race. He got like twice as many points as anyone else. He dominated.
Yeah. Looks like he probably took at least a stage as well. Maybe that might be on an off week then. I don't keep up with trucks or really the O'Reilly series either. But anyway, back to Shane. He did go back to back. He won yesterday in the O'Reillys as well. Back to back with Zilich, his underling. And really interesting, because that's what Austin was pretty heavy on, Zilich having a potential breakout weekend. He did well. He top 10 in the Cup Series. I think
he still doesn't have a win yet, right? Is that correct?
No, he's still winless. Oops.
Okay. He's gonna get one before the end of this race season, I bet.
There we go. Yeah, I don't think his meteoric rise in the O'Reillys was all for naught. Now, there are set to be quite a few new drivers next year. So it's not every year you get like an influx of like too many drivers. It's usually a slow trickle just because people can have long careers in NASCAR. But it does look like there's quite a few rookies coming in. One of them being Heim, and he's set to race in the Cup Series full time next year for 23XI. We talked about that.
These are the results for today.
Yes. Okay. This is today at Sonoma. And
so Priest finished. Is that say Priest finished 8th?
Yeah, Priest took 8th place. So the top 10.
Zach's Patreon. There's a guy that was. He said he was worth a sprinkle for a potential win, but top 10 that would have played right there. If you
looks like he had a good race.
Yeah, sure.
And anytime you put Priest on the ticket, it's in the season and a half that I've been covering it, I think he won one time. No, did he win? No, he didn't. I can't remember.
So he would be another first-time winner, correct?
Well, I think he's won before. Let's look at this real quick. Let's see where our boy Priest sits at. Now this site, I wish it was easier to navigate.
It looks like something like online to renew your driver's license almost. You know what I mean?
I might end up there if I keep clicking links. I think it's this. Here we go. Cup Series, Mr. Priest. And now you should be able to look at all time. Oh, no, he has not ever won in Cup Series. So his win will be a first-time win.
All right. Hey, so question. What race is this of the season? How many? Like what number? Like is it the 8th or the 9th or is it less than that?
I lost track, so let's go count. I could probably just Google it. It says it's a halfway point. It's the 18th race.
This was the 18th race. They've already raced 18 in this season so far.
Supposedly, yes.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense. You have two drivers with 5, almost 5. Or yet, what Reddick has 5, and Hamlin has 4. And let's go. Yeah, it happens fast, dude. When you're going Sunday to Sunday. Hey. Hold on one second.
I was seeing if my dogs are listening.
No. It's Granny. She's coming home. What was that? Sorry about that.
Dude, I have 6 dogs, so
nice.
I'm used to it, man. Who drives the 19?
The 19 car.
I think I saw whenever you were looking through some of those lists, I saw him. He finished. He had a 2nd place finish, I think.
Oh, yeah, we could just hit NASCAR. Whoops. Oh, yeah, Chase Briscoe.
Dude. What about next week being the 19th? Just surface level potential number 19 car on the 19th race, dude.
Well, let's see, where is it going? This is that other. Oh, okay. This is the Speedway version of Chicagoland. So I think this particular race does I could be wrong. I just know that there's a Chicago street course and then the Speedway as well. But
so Chicago gets 2 races a season.
It did last year, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Once again, this is where we miss Austin so much. He has all this stuff like on tap. But yeah, so July 5th. Interesting. Day after the 4th of July. So this is kind of like secondary holiday.
So if it's that road, if it's the street course setup, then you're thinking SVG.
It's not going to be the street course. It's the speedway. They're gonna. This will be an oval. At least I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It's just that I think Chicagoland had. I think I might be wrong, but Chicago also does a street course.
I think you're right. I remember seeing that before.
It might just be a completely different one, though. Yeah, it's a different one. They do it downtown. They like cordon off downtown Chicago. So no, this is just the oval. Now, what we can do, though, is check out who's the previous winners there. In fact, usually on the homepage, it just says it. That's usually, I don't know why it has that up. Yeah. I'm tripping. It says next week it's in Chicagoland, and this, I don't know, maybe NASCAR driver average just has not updated. Let's look at usually it says what's coming up next week, but this for some reason has Atlanta. Usually you can go to tracks. This site has changed like 7 times since I've been using it. Okay, here it has Chicagoland. I don't know why it didn't. It skips Chicagoland in the top, in the front, whatever. Larson's had some of his better finishes there in the last 6 races. Top 5 4 times. Chase Elliott. There's Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, and I also don't know what is going to be Jimmy Johnson's last race. No. Okay, AI, you're drunk, buddy. He just raced last week. And I read an article that said he had one more race planned. Okay. It even says on NASCAR.com that he's going to race next year's Daytona. Okay. So there we go. At least according to NASCAR.com, he'll race the opening race next year and retire on that.
He's going out like a rock band, you know.
But when I read
the farewell tour, but like, you know, and then they'll do it every year for like 10 years. We're done. All right, we'll do one more.
Encore. Yeah, the article I read said that he did have one more race slated for this year, though. So could have been wrong, but after I read that guy's comment, I looked into it just to see what his role was in the race or whatever. Now, granted, he did dominate the headlines. He did, for not doing shit all weekend. He was the main focus of most of the headlines. Was his involvement. As you can see, he finished 28th last week. He polled well, though. Top 10 in the polls. Oh, no, that's his points. Never mind. I don't know where he polled.
You got smoked, buddy.
Yeah, he didn't do well. And then he crashed in he crashed or had some sort of engine failure because he DNF'd in the truck series he also raced. But anyway.
It's interesting how Bubba Wallace and Larson finished second and third right next to each other when both of them a few years back have had racial drama as far as like, you know how they have their drama lines that run through the sport for the season, yeah. And they both have had like the racial thing. I wonder what that's all about.
You got the Larson and bombing.
And Larson, look, he had 42 points. Oh my God.
Very good. Very
we got that mockery right there, Larson. Because didn't he get suspended for like a season or something? Didn't he? It
was quite a while. It was quite a lot of races he got suspended. Yes,
might have been a full season, bud.
And it was during during it wasn't Twitch, I don't think, but it was some like event where they were like, where's like multiple NASCAR personalities or something were doing like online gaming.
Yeah, it was a NASCAR race. It was an online video game NASCAR race that was like live, and yeah, he just let her rip, you know.
And it's just like, you guys got to think. I don't care how old he was either. Why would you do that? There's no way. Like, you're already soaked in money. You know what's at stake. It's not like you need to be reminded what's at stake. It's not like anyone's thinking, oh no, I can end bomb. I'm a NASCAR driver. Of course I can. It's just like, it's an event for your company you work for. It's like going to a company picnic and just dropping end bombs and thinking your job's there the next morning. It's
Sean back. What? I'm out. What happened?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
And very privileged, interesting life Mr. Larson led as well. Me and Austin have documented that. It's very interesting. I mean, you know, he's from his like birth, he was basically set up to be what he is. So it's very interesting. It's no surprise he took the championship last season. He was our number 2 guy, and he ended up taking number 1. And you know, it's not what we're talking about this too. Let's go. One thing I haven't done is looked at the points in a minute. Oh, Denny just overtook Tyler at the midway point of the season. This is like, there's no way. This is how they maximize drama. Me and Austin were talking about this a while. Blaney's he's a little dark horse right now. He's sitting pretty at 3rd. Tyler was winning. You know, he's been dominating since the start of the season. Ripped off 3 in a row. You know, 5 of the first like 10.
Yeah.
Yep. But now look at him. Just got passed by Denny. And we talked about the meme they had with him too, which was like the Undertaker wrestling meme with Denny, like, you know, right behind him. And that's a poignant meme because Tyler Reddick is heavily involved with the wrestling community. He was featured at WrestleMania with CM Punk, and very interesting stuff they did with him. And you know, it was a big mockery. It was a big homage to his eventual win. I think he was either the second race of his 3-peat or the 3rd one, but either way, he raced in Atlanta, or he raced somewhere else, and then WrestleMania was in Atlanta, and he went to Atlanta, was featured in WrestleMania with the car, not the car he just won with, but the car he races with next week, a Chumbo Casino car. And they're doing like circles in the park, you know, they're doing donuts in the parking lot, and him and CM Punk come out, and he's got the, you know, they always like to pose with their belts. And then he goes on to win in Atlanta next week with the Chumbo Casino car. It's like, that doesn't even make sense. Why would you use next week's car? It was just,
well, I mean,
the mockery.
In the NBA this past season and going all into the playoffs, one of the wrestlers, I can't remember what his name is, but he put a curse, like a hex, on the Knicks. This is like during the regular season, and this is like they wove WWE into the NBA. He puts a curse on the Knicks. They just start losing, for like they go on a losing streak. It was a ginormous losing streak, and then somehow through the media and all the drama, you know how they have to have their little role play. He lifts the curse and the hex off of the Knicks, and then they went on this run. And won a whole bunch in a row, and then obviously they wound up winning the NBA Finals. But there was a Danhausen. He put a curse on, dude. How ridiculous, man! Yeah.
And just keeping Stephen A. Smith, you know, it's all notoriety with these people. Same with
they're showing you how much bullshit it is. They're literally having a professional wrestler, curse the team where it's having real like effects in the season for the basketball team. And then they lifts it and they wind up winning. I mean, dude, people were paying thousands of dollars for a ticket to go to the finals games, man.
Oh,
what? Look, I mean, dude, it's fake. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
I did not know about this whole curse thing.
Is that not
of
ridiculous?
course a way of exactly as you say? It's a way of weaving in multiple sports into eit's
Dude, and it really just kind of like it breaks my heart for our species that this is like not like this wasn't a game changer for anything. It wasn't like this is the last, the straw that broke the camel's back and anyone woke up from this shit. No, they're still right as deep as they were. How?
And it's for a lot of it too. It's there was a lot of predictive programming for the Knicks win. Even at mid-season with the whole Emirates Cup thing they do now with them, going against the Spurs there and winning. And a lot of predictive programming, especially with the whole Middle Eastern war that we're being threatened with as well, with the Emirates being a company, in the Middle East in United Arab Emirates, UAE. And just, the place, the connection between like the high society in the Middle East and America is just so sick. It's not Aladdin, people. This isn't like some like nice thing. There's nothing like good. What is the good thing about like the involvement between the Middle East and America? It's either war or depravity. You hear about, Dubai and all these places and what the mixture between Americans and not just Americans, but I'm just saying in this specific example, Americans and their countries. It's like you hear about all the princes that just want to, defecate on, pay girls to shit on them and stuff. And I'm not saying all of this is real. I'm not putting it past reality. I do think that there's definitely stuff that goes on like that because money is a fake thing. So power is what is the true thing that money gets you. But once you have that power and once you have that money, the money is not like it's just a means to end. You don't treat it with the same amount of respect as you do the power that you have that you swing around. And it's not like the money truly can bring you anything that you can't already get off of like your namesake or your notoriety or your whatever it may be. So you have these like princes. I just can only imagine. It's like what amount on a piece of paper could you take to go like, in my opinion, risk your life, but also soil your entire soul for like a weekend for what? For some like some money?
I want to say it was like about $100,000. I've seen there was a thing I watched and they were interviewing women that went and did that. Like they'll fly them across, like, they were Americans, but yeah, these princes who you're talking about, it's a lot of money, and it's like a whole weekend. So it's basically like a Friday to a Monday morning, and it's apparently, I mean, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty graphic what she was talking about.
And these are the same people who are, at the forefront of autonomous cities and, turning, what do they have? What's that project they have going on in the desert right now? The Wall City. It might just be called the Wall. The Line. Have you heard of the Line? It's like a state-of-the-art. It's out of a video game, bro. Saudi Arabia. But it's just this massive line that is going to be a like mirror city. It's like fully autonomous.
That's a city.
If I could get a high resolution picture, please. I don't know why they're all. I think it's like something with my bandwidth. Like I was lagging a little bit earlier too, and I haven't had that issue. So hopefully my internet holds up.
It looks like a dam that was only half built, but that's a city.
Yeah, let's. Where's the open image? There we go. Hopefully that's a better. That's a a rendering. You see all the yachts they can have parked there. So it's gonna have like basically a inlet. That's not the word for it, but anyway, where you can travel into it through the water, but eventually it's like a large H, kind of, not H really. It's two lines next to each other, but they merge into one in the middle, and it's just like living and malls and everything, and it's just like perpetual living and shopping and utility and things of that nature for miles and miles and miles in the middle of the desert. Well, although it is a nice area, not saying nothing wrong with the desert, but Saudi Arabia being one of those places in the world that is it's highly. What was that?
It's called. Is it called Neom? Is that it? The name of it? The Neom. Is that the name of the town?
I've never heard it being called that, but maybe the line is the project's name, and Neom is then what it's going to be called, the name of the town. Let's see.
Huh. Dude, this is crazy. When is this supposed to be done? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it says Neom City up at the top of your screen.
Okay, Neom project. I've never heard that. I've only ever heard it called the line.
What does that equal in the Gematrinator? You
think? I was going to say it does have the phonetic thing, same thing as Nemo.
Okay.
Neom City. Neom itself has that 47 and time that has the similar gematria, right?
Oh wow. Okay. That was it's a triple match, isn't it? Is that what? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Let's see when they have it complete. I can't imagine it's for a while out. After 2030. Good thing there's no agendas that are set to finish around then. Thank God.
Yeah, okay.
Whew. Oh, it's saying 15 years later than that, though.
So that's when they plan on starting it around? No.
They've already started it.
Damn.
But it's they tend to house 1.5 million people.
By 2030. They're already planning on having the World Cup there?
Well, I think Saudi has hosted the World Cup before.
Yeah, not surprised.
If I'm correct. Yeah, it's very interesting. And then, of course, what's going on in the World Cup right now, too? I guess we can take a peek at that.
Man,
I don't pay attention to it.
South Africa got they played they almost won. They had great value. I got burned on that game.
Got beat by the Mapleheads.
I should have taken South Africa plus the goals, but whatever.
Oh, okay. So Morocco and the Netherlands. Germany smashed whoever they played Brazil or something like that, and they cooked them.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. With like the Oliver tree going down in Brazil. There's other things with Brazil. Like I think a lot of people are thinking France is one that I know a lot of people are on. I've heard some people saying Portugal, but dude, I'm thinking Brazil maybe, man. Well, no, they always sacrifice. And France's head coach, I think his mother passed away during the World Cup.
Of course.
Yeah. And someone in the community in Zach's Patreon was bringing up how if you go back to the past championships, for the NBA finals that just happened, I want to say it was Carl Anthony Towns, maybe, that one of his dad or someone passed away. So there was a parent. It was kind of alternating. It went mom, dad, and then mom now with the France World Cup.
Maybe Mbappe's dad needs to look out.
Potentially.
Kylian, how do you spell his name? Kylian. Oh, I was close.
Man, if you're in any sort of ring like they're in, I would be looking over my shoulder every second.
Oh, yeah. Lucy.
12/20 birthday, 122.
He does kind of look like he knows
It's
something.
Dad's 55 with the look at the 111.
I see that too. October
Okay.
11th.
There's been so much 111 between.
Oh, his brother plays soccer too?
Really?
I've never heard of Ethan Mbappe. He plays for France. Well, I don't know if he plays for the French national team. Oh, I guess he does.
So they're both on there, huh? Okay. He was born in 2006. That's crazy, man. I graduated high school that year. Wow.
I was going into my junior year. I don't know if he's at the same level as his brother. I don't know how this shit works, to be quite honest. Mbappe's already scored 4 goals.
I know, that's what I didn't know that. That's crazy. He went off.
Somebody on the German team had like 4 goals in the game. It's pretty crazy.
His dad's Jack. Look at his dad, man.
I'd say, look,
His
is
dad
that
had
his mom? That's a dude. Hold up. Who's that guy?
I thought his dad had.
Oh, ain't no way.
Check the Adam's apple. Check the Adam's apple. I think I see an Adam's apple, man.
Oh my God! They say that is his mother, Faiza Lamari. Oh my goodness!
Look at her shirt, dude. Look at that. They don't, when they do these pictures like this, that what they're wearing is symbolism. They're choosing this on purpose. So she didn't just happen to put that shirt on. But is that the moon? Kind of looks like the moon on her shirt.
It looks like it's just planets and constellations and stuff of that nature. Oh my Lord! I have to pick up the actual picture. It's a high-res picture though, so let's do it. Oh Lord, what a handsome woman! My goodness.
Yeah.
This thing kissing you to bed every night with those thin lips and the fat schnoz and the just that Jewish grin.
She's got a powerful jawline for sure, dude.
And she's got the I gotta stop. But yeah, it shows like a moon. There's like a planet that's like blowing up.
This is weird.
And of course,
and it kind of looks like it kind of looks like it's eclipsing behind whatever the planet is going behind something on her left side, our right side, looking at it. That one, it's like halfway into like another planet. Go down a little bit. Right there, that one.
That might be the seam, but it is definitely weird. Oh, you mean like this right here?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Like a big old nipple. Like it really makes cold.
Dude, actually, yeah, okay, I see that.
Man, maybe it's an illusion, so people will see like a female body part and just associate this with female or something.
Yeah, it's kind of a feminine.
Because it's not.
Well, look at his shirt, dude. You can tell that that's fake. Like that's totally made.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is a woman.
Yeah,
I could be convinced.
It's a good looking suit that he's got, though.
My God. It's something new every single time, bro. These Transformers are everywhere, my G.
Well, I mean, dude, like I said, like last time or the episode before that, these athletes are designed, man.
Of course.
It's not like, oh, their parents had a twinkle in their eye one night. No. These things are strategic. So look at her. Who she kind of reminds me of? The chick from the Big Bang Theory, but And so like I'm getting science vibes, total maybe petri dish test tube stuff going on. Oh yeah, this was a science project.
Oh, you mean that like the nerdy chick on there?
Yeah, the nerdy chick on Big Bang Theory. She was like hosting Jeopardy. That's what she just kind of reminds me of that. So I'm getting a very scientific, academic, laboratory vibe off that lady.
I can try to see what she does. Gyro shush.
And I'm just thinking that CRISPR technologies were maybe used in the makings of Mbappe, potentially. Gee, woo, man. 51.
September 17th. Former handball player. Oh yeah, I mean, her hands are probably scratching balls every morning.
Bondy, France. Yeah, I mean, dude, look at her. Oh, she was okay. So she was an athlete, allegedly. Okay. Handball.
Hey, give me a second, dude. My dog outside is going nuts. Hold up.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, dude.
It's okay, Jared. Let's just some doggies.
It says she's chairman of an interconnected investment holding. Own SM
Kane.
But like
What tribe she comes from?
She's moving in circles where totally. I mean, look at her. She's an athlete. She played handball. I gotcha. But she is half of making 2 international superstars soccer-wise. Get out of here, man.
Yeah, she's definitely the legs behind it.
It would have been a miracle if this is legit for 1, let alone 2. Get out of here.
She's prominent enough to She has her own Wikipedia, which is kind of crazy. No middle name. Mohammed. Okay. Educational sciences. Okay. Kind of want to see what she's been up to, but his mom running his own association, or at least who says is his mom. What the hell?
I'm not getting this last end of it right here. What does that mean?
The
professional football players. So there's another. They have another
soccer player. French footballer. Kimbo and Coco. Oh, they're sitting pretty, I'm sure. But this is so weird. So they didn't get officially married. They just signed a civil partnership, which is where when you live with somebody for a certain amount of time. At least in America, that's what you can do. I'm sure it's similar in other places, especially like in France. But yeah, you live with someone long enough, you can claim that you're together tax wise. They'll put they'll put your stuff together. And that's what they did. They didn't get like formally married.
Dude, this is weird though, because it says that the 2 signed that civil partnership in 2016, and 6 years later, it only lasted for 6 years. So yeah. I mean, this is just sounding so much like a business contractual thing.
It's a transaction, yeah.
You guys are going to raise these soccer players that are going to be on the international stage.
does have the 113 is a little interesting.
September 17th. Has anything happened on that date? I don't know why it stands out to me.
I know September 27th is a big day for the Jesuits. Constitution Day. This is the day that they signed the first draft of the Constitution. That doesn't have anything to do with this lady. Middle East diplomacy.
How's that working out?
Great.
It's working great. Yeah, it's going great. Wait, 2001, the post-11. Okay, that's just the recovery.
Yeah.
Dude, there was a pretty good. There was a pretty good 9/11 tribute that happened in the WNBA a couple nights ago. The New York Liberty was Seattle Storm, and New York Liberty was 12-6 on the year. There's multiple. I mean, we're talking about the connection between Seattle and New York, but like, dude,
New York lost
buildings 1, 2, and 7. I think I told you about that. Yeah, it was legit.
Yeah, interestingly enough, also yesterday they waited to announce that they were rebombing Iran again until after the stock exchange closed.
Yeah.
To not drive any financial decisions based on the bombing, which is like, isn't that just openly admitting to manipulating the market?
Yeah, I don't know. I scratch my head about that because it's blatantly obvious what happens. It's like release this, saying a couple things about Iran on this video, and then millions and millions are made. And then this has been like a recurring thing every week. I think he did it like 3 weeks in a row recently.
Well, this is very interesting. I don't know if you were aware of our work in wrestling, because we talked about wrestling just recently, but man, there's a lot of robots in disguise in wrestling as well that I'm sure will come to light at some point, or not, but we've covered a couple of them. One of them has their name is literally like lady man. Her name etymology means lady man in, I think, Spanish. It's just like, because I was looking. It's happened to a couple of them now, but I was looking at one of them. I was like, wow, that's a heck of a woman we got here. What's going on? Not in like a aroused way, more of like a, you know.
So you're basically saying that a lot of the female wrestlers are actually dudes.
I would assume a good number of them are. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense, dude. That makes a lot of sense.
But
I mean, really though, like I've looked into that, in the past with as far as just Hollywood goes in general, and I mean, I think there's something to it, especially their actor names that they go with, like whether it be Sandra Bullock or like Carrie Underwood. They're telling you right in their name, it's another form of their mockery, is these people's names are really just a bird flip to masses,
And there's two sides to the coin too. I mean, I think a lot of the dudes are more than likely women, and it's. I mean, we're going to get into talking about this character here, Aleister Crowley. I mean, there's a big controversy about,
he's a freak.
Him potentially playing a woman after he should have been dead. There's a lot of conspiracies. I don't know if we'll get to the conspiracies about him. I want to. I think there's conspiracies involving the Bush family. Those can be touched on. I do have a small presentation, and then I do want to kind of branch off of that and see where we go with it. But the theme of today's episode is, surrounding this individual, Aleister Crowley, and that is mainly because this is episode 93, and his religion that he formed even though he was staunchly anti-religion. You know what all the staunchly anti-religious people do? Start their own religion, of course. Come on. But I made a very small presentation, and like I said, I said in the lead up, I didn't have a whole lot of time to put this thing together. There's going to be a lot off the board and a lot to be talked about and added. We have about an hour from this point before I got to take off, so hopefully we can get some good streams of thought going on this. But and can you see that all right? Because usually these things are a little small because I'm trying to fit information on there. I do apologize. I'll try to give you any cliff notes that are relevant. It's not like you have to sit there and read the entire thing. I try to circle certain things. But anyway, it just basically talks about what he was. He's considered an English occultist, a ceremonial magician, poet, novelist, mountaineer, and painter. And interestingly enough, he would say that he's bringing in the new eon for humanity, and he called it the Eon of Horus. And very, very, very much like people who predict certain catastrophes or big deals about to happen, and then just perpetually predict because it hasn't happened and it's probably not going to happen. But I guess you could also say crying wolf. But he did say that he had this particular perspective, and it was given to him very Joseph Smithy. Very, if you're familiar with the Mormon religion and how that came about, he has a very similar one where he was basically visited by an angel and given the secrets only into his mind, so no one else can know about him. It's like, that's convenient. But I'm sure, they just trusted you because you're just so trustworthy. But anyway, as you can see here, it says he founded the religion of Thelema, and I have this. This is considered the religion of Thelema in many articles. It's not just Thelema. They have Thelema highlighted, but they purposely call it religion of Thelema, and that is because he considered it a religion. He called it a religion, and he also, like I said, was staunchly against religion, having come up in like super high society Catholic origins. He went to very prominent schools, the best Catholic school in London, and he was brought up by these Catholics, and then all of a sudden he turned tail, and there's a lot of conspiracies about his relationship with British society, for information gathering, like basically calling him a spy. But and there's some, if you Google it, they'll say there's no proof, and it's just like, okay, I wasn't his best friend during this time. Not a lot of people are going to have proof of what was going on in the 1910s, just offhand experience. There's not that many people that were linking and rubbing boots with these people. I mean, maybe a lot of people to the average person, but in the grand scheme, especially when these people are involved in secret societies, the goal isn't to make known everything that you're doing. So it's just like proof. This is where the discernment comes in. Your proof is going to be, what you discern, not what you can actually, learn or ascertain the knowledge from. These are things you're going to have to figure out post happening anyway. But anyway, I have down here, it's a little small, but it, points out that the religion of Thelema, the way they call it, also equals 93, as much like his only son that he had. He had one son. He had 4 different daughters, and his first daughter, of course, this is a name that really rings. Nuit, Ma, Ahathor, Hecate, Sappho, Jezebel, Lilith, Crowley. Now they called her just Lilith, and I'm like, of all the female deity names to stick with, that Lilith, that's a good one. Which is also funny because Lilith is a Catholic belief. Lilith comes from the idea that Adam had a previous wife before Eve, and she went on to become considered the mother of demons. I don't know if that's only in occult circles, but she was always associated with evil and against God. At the very least, she's against God. They kind of play off of that character with Pisces Sophia, if you've ever heard of that. It's another something we should get into too, because these stories are really fun. But Randall Gare Doherty. And why I highlight him, it's not that any of his daughters' names equal 93, but why I highlight him because his son equals 93 is because these are all of his kids weren't necessarily post Thelema. So, or were they all post Thelema? I'd have to do my due diligence to figure out if they were all post him creating Thelema. But the point being is, when he had his son, he wanted him to be a magician that takes after him. So it's no surprise his name equals 93, and it's not even his name included with the Crowley. His mother, it was like he would have like mistresses through Thelema doing sex magic. That's literally what it was, and he called them like crimson women. I can't remember what he calls them, but he had many in his life, and it's very much like it reads like a cult leader getting a hold of his pick of the litter, not his pick of the litter necessarily, but the women that he would get with would submit fully to what he's kind of doing. They know what's going on going into it, and they will take place in it, and then post them getting divorced, they turn into completely normal people. And I'm just like, I wonder why. I wonder what you had to go through, and that straightened you back up. But they would do ritual magic. Thelema is based in. There's a lot of sex magic that goes on in it, and openly, things of that nature. But just pointing out his son, who he did play into his role as well in his more adult life. His son did start to take on the idea that he is as Aleister's, like after Aleister Crowley died, his name just got larger than life, just like a lot of things do. And so he played into it and, was basically saying, I have, qualities that my dad had as well. They were passed to me anyway. But Thelema, I just kind of wanted to show you this list that I put together because it's very intriguing. All the things that are associated with this, and this has to do with the kind of the angle I take this, because I did want to take kind of a more logical approach, but there's a lot of fantastical stuff to talk about with Aleister Crowley and all the societies involved with it. That's the Theosophical Society, the Order of the Golden Dawn, all these different things. But I did have a specific angle I wanted to go with it. But anyway, I'll show this here. We have the religion of Thelema, as I showed you before, equals 93. You have the Order of the Illuminati, and I'll explain these aren't just arbitrarily put together because they have matching numbers. And I'll even double explain why they themselves say what the practice of coding words into numbers, or vice versa, well, not vice versa, but words into numbers means, and why they do it. But anyway, Order of Illuminati, that's up there because his name has been conflated. If you believe that it's only conflation, I do believe that there's cause for the conflation between his name and the Illuminati, and it's and of course, if you Google it, it'll say the Bavarian Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt wasn't drunk, and that's all done. I don't know why I went redneck with it, but that's what they'll say. Meanwhile, we all know that that's not true, and it's so funny because if you Google modern Illuminati ideas, it'll contradict itself and tell you it does in fact know about the Illuminati and the secret societies that claim the Illuminati, but it's just so good. So that moves into the Jewish mysticism, which could also be called Kabbalah, vice versa. Kabbalah could be called Jewish mysticism. And why that's up there is because the act or the knowledge of Gematria is key in Jewish mysticism. That is one of the core tenets of Jewish mysticism is Kabbalah. Kabbalah's core tenet, one of Kabbalah's core tenets is Gematria, is what I should say. And of course, people will say that's Hebrew Gematria, and that's completely true. And if you guys want to use more than one brain cell in arguing, you'll understand that Hebrew Gematria is the process of transliterating the Hebrew alphabet into into numbers. That the Hebrew alphabet are pictograms. They're pictures. They represent something. They represent a word that isn't in English because, guys, hold on to your seats. English wasn't invented yet, the language. And so think of it this way. Gematria is not mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. It is not mentioned. Gematria came about, and I'll get into this, but let me finish the list. Sorry. But Jewish mysticism, that's why that's up there. And of course, it shares the 201 and the 93, just like a order of Illuminati. And that's, not arbitrary. I don't know if we're going to go into it that necessarily. I could have one other 201 up here, and looks like I forgot it. But yes, the Jesuit order, of course, has that 201 as well. And that's not arbitrary because he based his faith or his religion that he created, Thelema, off the fact that he disagreed with the Catholic Church and the Jesuits, specifically the Catholic Church and the Jesuits. And that's on the record. Occult mysticism, which is the overarching, what you refer to the overarching schools of, different orders like magic, the three magics, or there's more than three, but the main three magics: red, white, and black. Occult knowledge, astral knowledge, astrology, things of that nature. These are under the umbrella term occult mysticism, and of course, no surprise, it shares that 20193. We also have the Saturnian order, which has that 20193 and the 69, much like Jewish mysticism. And if you guys know the Jesuit order numbers by heart, you'll see that 177 there too. No surprise there either, but that's not where we're going with this. Highlighted are the 93s, mainly because Thelema is governed by the number 93, as it says right here. And then, of course, the Order of the Golden Dawn equals 93 as well, which is like a kind of an offshoot of their own form of a secret society. And there was many offshoots of that, and it gets kind of hard to track and hard to understand. But point being is it was a adjacent secret society or theosophical society, which they consider themselves a secret society too. But anyway, in Thelema, 93 is a sacred number and customary greeting representing the movement's two foundational principles. To do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, and love is the law, love under will. Now, the interesting part of that being is that I'll highlight is, I think it's will's gematria value in Hebrew, I believe, is 93. And then it's the word for love, which is, I believe, agape. That equals 93 as well. So they have like this core like 93 thing they got going in here. And I say that because I don't think I had that included in this presentation, but that's like a little bit further into why 93 is a special number for them. But listed above are, I'm sure, several other reasons why 93 plays. And just Saturn by itself also equals 93. Here highlights the occult mysticism, which I was talking about, and here it shows Hermeticism, esoteric Kabbalah, and if you guys know the difference, the Kabbalah is the Jewish practice. Esoteric Kabbalah is like taking from the Jewish practice and kind of transfiguring it to whatever you need to do, which is, you might sit there and say, yeah, it's like a bastardization of the original, but I can prove to you that everything coming out of early languages, Hebrew, Sumerian, Phoenician, everything off of those has been if you want to call it a bastardization or a modernization, whatever it is, everything has been transliterated to fit the time that it's in. And I'm not saying that the people that are doing the transliterating are the trustworthy ones. Rarely is that the case, or if ever. It's always going to be the controllers that are, that use these things for their own benefit. But my point behind it is that gematria that only Hebrew, what are they? It's called Kabbalah. It's called Jewish mysticism. The word gematria postdates any act of turning the Hebrew alphabet into a numerical value, which is what they do in order to translate the scriptures post them being written. This isn't to say that the scriptures were written with for sure code injected into them. This is what has been decided on after the texts have been available. So, and I'm not saying that they haven't either. And I'd be remiss to say that people don't do it today, because it's clear that they do it today in almost every source of media. They encode words that have a numerical value key to the subject. But my point being is you'll have certain deniers of whether or not English gematria is a valid source or has a valid use in today's environment. And I can prove to you that not only does it, but that it should. And there shouldn't, like, the detractors don't really make a lot of sense, because if you're sitting there only claiming certain, like, the Hebrew gematria or their use of Kabbalah, then you would know that the Jewish scholars and mystics that use it, they came up with it. It's not like it says in the Hebrew Bible, hey, find the code. It's in here somewhere. It's not like at the end it gives you. It's just like, it's not like a word search. This is something they use to transliterate the Bible in their own way, and it strictly states that it's like from priest to priest, it's different as well. So it's very much so for them to deliver the scripture in their way. And that's why they're able to derive certain codes from certain words to add to their I guess I want to say their take, but no, they're these are priests that, they're delivering messages from the Hebrew Bible, the Torah. There's what's the fucking word? Anyway, I can't think of what a preacher does. What their fuck it, whatever.
Their sermon.
Sermons, yes. Okay. It would be like that, or like what they're using for their guidelines for their faith. And these are church fathers, much like in Christianity. So these guys dictate the tradition basically that's moving forward, and that's very much so like the Jewish mystics did. Anyway, and do. So from its inception, it is a tool used post Torah to, it's not even included in the Torah. Anyway, here shows, if everybody, you might know about Greek isopsophy and how it was kind of contemporaneously being used alongside Jewish people using their form of gematria, Hebrew gematria, and that the Greeks were also doing it, and the Egyptians were also doing it, and these things are also often conflated. But either way, let's see, English gematria. This is just showing you what that is, and then also showing you that the initial use of gematria as the terminology for English gematria came out of Aleister Crowley's writings. Interestingly enough. And then we have, of course, Manly P. Hall after that, and several other occultists, lay claim and root to different ciphers and things of that nature. But the common, I say common, but the most commonly used base ciphers, obviously the ordinal and reverse, but also the reduction ciphers, and then there's like Francis Bacon and I think even Chaldean, maybe septenary, that were often used at its inception of, the code being transliterated for English speaking countries and things of that nature. And you'll have some people will say that you can't have like that disqualifies English Gematria because it's not from the base language. And that's just such a weird train of thought to think that, to see where we are, where we've been going for hundreds of years, and to sit there and think that it's just how many people speak fluent Hebrew today? Like, what percentage of the world speaks fluent Hebrew? Like, the world is not being built for Hebrew speakers. That's pretty clear. That's like, I don't know who needs to hear that, like, legitimately, and that might still think that or something, but maybe underground is. Hey, as far as I know, underground, it's just all the signs for where you're going are in Hebrew. But as far as above ground, that's definitely not what's going on. So that's the whole purpose of transliteration, and why I liked what they said here about the etymology of the word, because there's at the top, a lot of people have different there's several different theories as to what it means. It either means gematria or geometria, like geometry, the word geometry, or the gematria, which is in the Greek alphabet. That's how they would call it. Anyway, why I like that is it brings up the Greek side of things, because this was a heavy practice used in ancient Greece, or at least supposedly used in ancient Greece. Everything I say is supposedly, by the way, guys. I have a much different historical viewpoint on a lot of different things. So if something I say, like, right now, that don't pen me in. Okay, don't pen me into this train of thought. I'm just giving you like more of a historical background, textbook background, not necessarily my personal views. But the Greeks were using it in many different ways, not only for the founding of like masonry as we know it, but before the like London founding of masonry, there was obviously there was masons in Egypt, there was masons in Greece, there was masons all over the place, and they used a code like gematria in order to kind of encode their particular theology, if you want to call it that. And was this the one? Okay, this just has some fun facts. What is it? Okay, here's kind of backs up what I was saying, at least according to modern history. The first documented use of ordinal English gematria, A = 1, to Z is 26, traces back to the early 20th century. And then there was one right before that as well, which didn't include the letters J and V, I think. So it was 1 through 24, but it was basically the same concept. So it's first appeared notably in the writings of Aleister Crowley. Now, Aleister Crowley's, he recognized ordinal gematria as well. That was like an important understanding when you were learning Thelema, is to understand the idea of turning a letter into a number. Like that, this concept is basic. This concept is a base knowledge, presupposition, whatever it is. But his ciphers were a lot different. Like his ciphers were much more circular. Like they worked on a circle. So it was like, which also other ones did anyway. But so it was like A is the first letter, and then L I think was the second, or A = 1, and then L = 2, because it was like 11 letters past that letter, and then the third letter associated with 3 was 11 letters past L, and so on and so forth until you complete the whole circle with letters. And then he used he's on record saying that he was using Hebrew gematria as his basis, as the basis for his numerical cipher, but that he was never able to like finish its purpose or whatever. And it gets very confusing, because there are like 3 ciphers that came out of Thelema, that are, and one of them I guess is like still popularly used today. And I don't know if I have it written down here or on here, but I can potentially look it up. It was like the ALW cipher. I can't remember what it was. It was something similar to that. But this just goes to show you that, gematria as a concept or as a name wasn't, this is a very modern name for what's been being done for supposedly, centuries and, long time. But that the name gematria is a modern thing. Was that? I think I had a picture I wanted to show, but now I don't think I had that set up. So excuse me just 1 second. But if you have anything to add or want to talk about, go for it, dude.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So the actual term gematria is relatively new.
According to the sources that I was looking up, yes. Well, new as in it wasn't used by the Hebrew people. It wasn't used by Jewish mystics. It wasn't. Yes, Kabbalah is the term for what they do. Gematria was a name given much later.
And so then kind of gematria kind of blowing up, in as far as which, it hasn't really blown up. Obviously, there's so many people that don't even think it's real and whatever. But as far as it kind of sparking with Aleister Crowley around the 1900s, beginning of the 1900s is what I'm seeing, right?
Yeah. And that kind of.
Well, I was going to say, so Manly P. Hall, like the Secret Teachings of All Ages, like, did he kind of see Aleister Crowley doing this? And that's because isn't Secret Teachings of All Ages is like 19 teens or 20s? I'm pretty
20s,
sure,
yeah.
isn't it? 20s?
Yeah,
okay, so
1920s, yeah.
He kind of came across Crowley doing his thing, and then kind of that's probably why he put it in the Secret Teachings, I guess.
Well, we might be giving Crowley a lot more credit. He rubbed shoulders with a lot of people, and that can kind of move over into the conspiracy side of things, because the British intelligence and the generals that you mentioned before, and there's a lot that goes into it. Also, pop culture. He was an icon in pop culture, and if you think about what pop culture was back then in print, he was an icon. Well before he died. While he was alive, he was a very popular person to speak about.
Who he kind of reminds me of? Like for our version of Aleister Crowley, he kind of, how he's dabbling in all these different areas as far as pop culture or like NASA, governments, intelligence, all these things, the occult. He's really coming across as like the early 1900s eeny weeny steeny boy, the E-file dog. You know what I mean?
I mean, he definitely. I see what you're saying, because he was rubbing shoulders with generals, he was rubbing shoulders with intelligence, he was rubbing shoulders, and if you look up these generals and these leaders of the intelligence agencies, they're all wearing robes and doing
weird stuff, like the tablets, man. The Jack Parsons and the tablet.
And see, Jack Parsons, he is a contemporary with Aleister Crowley. He either continued on Thelema, or kept it mainstream, or it was the Order of the Golden Dawn.
So there's the Order of the Golden Dawn, and then there's something called the OTO, which I think is the Order of the Golden Dawn, and he changed it to OTO, or it was something where he came across that. And then I think it was like in 1946 is when they Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard, they did some ritual with these tablets. I don't know if they were stone tablets or what exactly they're made out of, but basically L. Ron Hubbard sat in the corner while Jack Parsons masturbated onto this tablet, and the finish of it, and it was supposed to like pump this power in. I can't remember what they basically were trying to summon some deity or entity by basically Jack Parsons jerking it onto a tablet while L. Ron Hubbard watches. What? You know what I'm saying? And apparently anytime like, because Jack Parsons was super big as far as propulsion goes in like in rocket technologies.
Yeah.
Allegedly, you know, that was what, at least that's what they told people, is that Jack Parsons is behind the rocket scientists and stuff. And apparently every rocket launched, they did one of these rituals or one of these tablet rituals where, and like you were talking about earlier, bringing up the sex magic. They involved sex magic before they did any kind of big happenings, especially when it comes to NASA and stuff like that too, and these rockets or other things. Anytime, seemingly, when there's a big event going on in these powerful circles, like Aleister Crowley or Jack Parsons would be present, and they were doing rituals, you know.
Well, that's very interesting that you mentioned the tablets. I mean, once again, this is very reminiscent of Mormon theology, where you have these tablets that Joseph Smith dug up, and he was able to transliterate them through looking at through a seer stone, but only he could do it, and only with one person present. And it was, you know, and he was getting these visions from the angel Moroni. Meanwhile, he was getting his Crowley got his visions from Asawas. I can't remember. Let's see if I can find it. Let's keep Jack Parsons up, because I'm glad you're going further into Jack Parsons, because he's someone I went in a lot further than Aleister Crowley once I found out what he was all about, because of Jet Propulsion Laboratories, which they're not defunct, guys. JPL these are the NASA guys. This is also cryogenically freezing people. This is cryo lab, cryogen,
so
whatever.
We get into, because allegedly Eenie Weenie Steenie boy cryogenically froze himself and his member, apparently, allegedly, is what they say. So another link, or like, well, I was just making the reference of how Aleister Crowley seems like him for back in those days, but that's kind of interesting, you know, with them still being around. And look, does Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons have the same birthday?
That's a good question. No, 10 days off though.
Okay. There's all the ones and twos though. I mean, if you look at Aleister Crowley, he's got the October 12th and then the December 1st death. And then 93 is super big with, you had that whole list of the 93s, and, you know, and 9 + 3, 12. There's just 12 popping up all over.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a headline a week and a half ago having to do with military rockets or something. We should potentially go back and look. That'd be the death anniversary of Jack Parsons, which I don't think I've seen anyone bring that point up.
You were mentioning weren't you saying something a few minutes back about Aleister Crowley trying to bring in one of his daughters was supposed to be, I thought you said something about like a goddess.
Well, that was his first daughter, who died from typhoid, like very early on. He has another. No. He had.
My bad. I'm mixing that up. That's Jack Parsons. I'm pretty sure I was thinking I was mixing Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley up. Jack Parsons tried to bring in split magic. He met this lady. I can't remember what her name is, but he met this lady. She had red hair, and he was going to use her and do one of those tablet rituals to try to summon this goddess in, and she was supposed to be the vessel for it going forward. Then this happened in 1946, which is interesting because of what a year later is whenever Crowley dies. Donald Trump was born that year. You know, interesting.
Yes.
But yeah, Jack Parsons was trying to bring in some goddess with L. Ron Hubbard, and it was some redhead lady that he met. I think he pretty much just ditched his family. I think he had a wife and kids, and he just left them, and he was supposed to, and he went to focus on trying to bring in a goddess, and this redhead lady was the vessel.
It says he didn't have any kids. Now, it's funny you're saying something like that because there is another
the Marjorie
Cameron.
Yeah, that's the redhead lady that he was trying to do some goddess ritual with her. Like when he met her, she like totally something about her. Oh man. Look, you talking about the 93. Scroll up a second there. It says there's literally one of the first things on Instagram
September
about
3rd.
Marjorie Cameron, September 3rd, right there. No accident.
Yeah, what a day to post that. So I think I might have mentioned something about this, but have you ever heard of the Philadelphia experiment?
Yeah.
I think it was called the Philadelphia experiment.
Dude, yeah, it's scary. That's terrifying, the Philadelphia experiment.
Now, have you heard that it had anything to do with Aleister Crowley? I cannot fucking find this.
I haven't heard the specifics on that, but it wouldn't surprise me. Like, because I was talking about Jack Parsons doing rituals for all the rocket launches. So,
okay, so just so if anyone can't read it or they're just listening, Philadelphia experiment is a popular 1943 urban legend. Keep in mind, I'm almost positive this is one of those disclosed documents that talk about this. But anyway, and conspiracy theory claiming the U.S. Navy made the destroyer escort USS Eldridge invisible and teleported it from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Norfolk, Virginia. Now, this was corroborated by Navy members saying that they, were taken to another dimension for about a minute and they didn't know what was going on. And, you could look up their stories and everything like that. But here, let's see. See if there's any of this. I never thought to maybe just look this up to see if the USS Eldridge was enveloped in a green fog, vanished entirely from the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, and temporarily appeared in Norfolk, Virginia. The crew experienced terrifying side effects. Some reportedly went insane, others disappeared, and some were said to have their bodies fused with the metal of the ship. The Navy's explanation. The Navy has consistently stated that no such experiment or any research into invisibility or teleportation. Yeah, because they wouldn't want that. Yeah, what's a stealth bomber do? What ever took place? Historians and naval officials attribute the wild rumors to real unclassified World War II research primarily. Like I said, this came out of unclassified documents about, I'm pretty sure it was called the Philadelphia experiment. Degaussing, a process used to wrap ships in electrical cable. Okay, this is saying it could have been something about that. The legend primarily originated from a merchant mariner named Carl M. Allen, interesting, who also used the alias Carlos Allende in the 1950s. Allen sent letters and annotated books to UFO researcher Morris K. Jessup, detailing the alleged events. The correspondence captured the public's imagination, grew into a staple of sci-fi folklore, and inspired the 1984 film, The Philadelphia Experiment. Interesting year for that film. Mm-hmm. Now, there is a link between Aleister Crowley or potentially Jack Parsons. The only caveat I will say is that I might be mixing up Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley. Wait, when did Jack Parsons die? He died a little bit later. I know that. But... Okay, so like 5 years after or something like that, I believe. Yeah, 5 years later. Okay, so it could have been Jack Parsons. And with what you're saying, I don't think it was Jack Parsons because here's the thing. There is a fable, if you will. Let's just call it a fable. But there's a alternate story about what caused this. And that was like we talked about the Crowley. It's very likely that he was involved with intelligence agencies. And so that is your link there for, a military project. Now, and by the way, guys, it's so funny how they say stuff like, "Oh, come on, Have you guys? You have no idea how much the military has done with psychedelic drugs to try to, remote viewing. Guys, come on. This is not out there. This is not even close to out there from what they've admitted to doing. So we need to, broaden our horizons a little bit. I'm not saying you buy everything. Do your research like I'm doing right now. I'm not trying to say any of this is 100%. But I cannot find this. This is why it's so frustrating. If you guys have ever heard of this or have links to it, if anything, please try to share it to me. I heard about this a long time ago. I heard about it multiple times, and now I cannot find a single source that talks about it. But there are these stones. It's funny you mentioned the tablets and having to do with like fertility rituals as well, because there's like what are they called? Keystones. Oh, stop. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, this is like a keystone arch, and that is the keystone, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. Like they're like the arch stones that have like a point in them that has a bored out hole that will like match up with a solstice or something of that nature. It might not be called a keystone, but I thought that's what they were called. A stone, like a monolith that has a hole. Okay, yeah, kind of like this. Here we go. But imagine it's kind of more like this one. It's just a larger hole. Supposedly, they did this experiment in order to that Aleister Crowley, I believe it was Crowley. And why I believe it was Crowley is because it was with a newborn child. It wasn't like jacking off on some rocks. This was he actually put his son, who I can I only assume was Randall Doherty, or I'm conflating him with another member of Thelema or one of the organizations. But I'm almost 100%. Like I said, it was a while ago I learned about this, and now I can't find it. And so it's like now things are blending in my head wrong. But anyway, or could be blending in my head wrong. The story goes that what triggered the Philadelphia experiment was a specific they were on a ley line, and they used one of these rocks, and they did ceremonial magic, and at a specific moment he put his son through the hole. And it was like, I can't remember the purpose, and like I said, I can't find this story to tell you what the purpose was for Aleister Crowley to do it. But basically, what they say, it like destroyed a beam. Like it's funny the way they talked about it too. Because have you ever heard of the Dark Tower series by Stephen King?
No.
It's like a 7-book series. It's like his magnum opus. It's really good, but it deals with these villains called breakers, and their job is to kind of like break the fabric of reality. That are called beams.
Yes, I not well versed, but yes, I've heard of it.
I'm not one to like recommend or suggest these kind of, especially like Stephen King. We understand, at least I understand what he's all about. But those books are, I think they're worth more than just entertainment, but they are well written books that are gripping. They're gripping books, and they're like big books. And maybe I'll do another episode about that in and of itself. Let me know, guys, if you heard of Dark Tower, have you read the books, and don't tell me you saw the movie, because that movie is trash. But anyway, so yeah, it said that he put his son through, and that's what caused the Philadelphia experiment. It like shot a beam and caused the USS, whatever it was called, to disappear and reappear. And there's a story that runs parallel to the Philadelphia experiment, and it has to do with Aleister Crowley, and I just cannot find any documentation on it, no matter how I type it. And I got to tell you, when I heard about this before, it was through other people's research and videos, and I cannot locate those videos anymore. And I feel like if I were to continue down the pathway to search them back in the day when I heard about it, I would have got something about it. But it is like it doesn't, like the idea never existed. And I'm telling you right now, I did not come up with this story. I did not come up, oh yeah, no. the Philadelphia experiment that nobody talks about also has to do with this other thing that nobody talks about. Now, that's not my claim. This isn't my claim to fame or anything. So it's very strange that I can't find any documentation on it. And like I said, I could be wrong about it being necessarily Aleister Crowley. I don't think I am, but it was definitely someone in his circle.
When the baby was put through the hole that allegedly caused the beam, which made the ship do its thing for the Philadelphia experiment. So is the idea that when the baby went through the hole, that's exactly the moment when this ship did its thing? Okay.
Yes, there were, and they, like the sailors say, they said a green fog or whatever. They said it emitted this large green beam of light, and there's a lot of research being put into the idea that the rulers of this world understand about a grid, a system that this world functions on that we aren't necessarily aware of today. And we're given, I hate to call certain people's, like, I know there's certain people's idols like Tesla and stuff. They were given these puppets that are able to, lead us so far along, but you'll always end up stuck somewhere if you follow these rabbit holes. But you have like Tesla. It's like his claim to fame was that he was on an alternate way of doing things, like completely. Yeah, and you look at his, who was running alongside him. You have like Albert Einstein, who was like doing relative math. It's like even Albert Einstein is given to you, and he was doing math that had to do with like rocket speeds of rockets in outer space and things of that nature, which is like not math. That's not like we're not trying to build a building here. We're trying to like traverse celestial places, which
like the dimension like shifting or traveling basically.
And so you'll have Tesla, who did like a lot of his works had to do with harnessing ether and things of that, and like I believe he worked with radium, and a lot of early inventors all worked with radium, and it was a common thing back in the day, and now it's just non-existent. It's the most poisonous thing in the world. Not really, but
well, or the theory is that they tell the masses, the majority, the layman is told and warned of radium, and they just pull that all out. But I was watching something, and they were basically talking about the radium girls and all the different radium springs. You could go to like a radium hospital and be treated with all sorts of different like ways of being treated with radium, and that it was so healing. And look around, water, air, food, all this poison, all this unhealthy approach to how they want us to be. Obviously, they're poisoning us, so they don't want the health benefits of radium. And now that radium is still used, but only in those elite circles. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, look at all the known like radium spring locations and stuff like that. And these places are. I mean, there was a popular one in Florida. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, but along those lines, what I have to say about it is it's very much so like what you were saying, but radium is element. In our body, all elements, I believe, are supposed to be present, not in high amounts or low amounts, depending on the element, but everything's supposed to be present. Our body should be aware of every element and whether or not we know of that element so that we can fight it off or keep it at a low amount or keep it at a high amount or keep it at a mid-level amount. That's where the arguments lie. I don't think we're supposed to be, sleeping on a bed of uranium, but we should have uranium in our body, and we do for the most part. But like you mentioned, the water and everything we eat, it's so heavily filtered, and it's filtered from, it's so crazy because, they add 80,000 products to something like flour. You'll read the ingredients of flour and it's like, hey, holy crap. Like how many vowels and consonants do you need for certain words? But then, you look at water and they'll just say it's water, but it's so misleading. The water should actually have an ingredients list. I know that sounds stupid, not a bunch of not a bunch of states and X's and stuff, but it should have the minerals that are present in the water. It should have the elements that are present in that water, but we don't. And so radium poisoning nowadays, I would say, is very possible, just like radon and certain things like that. I bet when our bodies come into contact with it, it is a foreign object. It is foreign. We will react very badly to it because our bodies have no reference point of what it is. Now, I don't think back in the day people were living off of radium water from the springs. They were drinking it in small amounts. And the radium water, you got to understand, it's not like the radium is a mineral. It is not. It's also, I think, I'm pretty sure, a heavy mineral. So it is present in the water in very finite amounts. Just like if you were to put a lead is a soft mineral, so another hard mineral, like titanium or whatever, if you put that in the bottom of the water, it's like it's going to leach off in very, very small amounts to become titanium water. It's not like you're drinking the amount, like a pebble of the titanium every single time. You're drinking like finite amounts of it. And this isn't to say, hey, go drink finite amounts of bleach so you don't die if you come in contact with it. Although there is that funny meme where it's just like you drink the bleach and then you just like, you wake up and it's just like, you did it. You found a way out. That's been the way out all along. But anyway, that's a joke, guys.
Don't drink bleach.
Please.
Only eat Tide Pods, man.
Exactly. That's at least looks like candy. That was a crazy trend. But yeah, so I think people back in the day that were introducing radium into their body, they were probably, there's probably benefits as well as the negatives that come along with just about every single thing. You can be over oxygenated, but you better damn well have some oxygen in there or else you're dead. So it's very, who knows, like I said, there's probably definitely healing benefits. And also from like a world building creator point of view, would there be a cure all? Why do anything in such why have stinging nettle, for instance? It's stinging nettle. Oh, this sucks. But it cures several different ailments. It's also very healthy for you. It keeps your gut in check and certain things like that. There's a million other examples of things like that. Why do all that work and then just say, oh, but fuck, if you find radium, fucking sit on that shit, you're good to go forever? It's just like, I don't think there is something like that. I think everything has the positive and negatives. There is no fountain of youth. There is no, great cure-all anything. And is science not a pursuit of playing God and creating that cure-all and being basically the owners of that cure-all so that you can dictate to everybody else? Once you have the golden goose, you get to print the eggs. You get to, dictate, to everybody else. And, look at what the elites of the world, focus on. They're all philanthropists that, give half their money to certain forms of research that I think if you look at what those researches end up influencing are hospitals that use us as guinea pigs. So it's a very, and it's all in the pursuit of, that fountain of youth, the not dying. And then we already talked about the Jet Propulsion Laboratories and the cryogenically freezing. That's hilarious that got brought up.
Like the healing guinea pigs, like trying to find for healing properties, that's for them. And then they do we're guinea pigs as well. And those are for finding out different ways to depopulize the world, And I'm pretty sure they put radium in glass, if I'm not mistaken. And you can still find it. There's a guy that has a specific type of, I think it might be a UV light, flashlight. And what he'll do is he'll go to thrift stores and he'll shine it on old pieces of china stuff that he finds at thrift stores, and they will glow. They'll have a green glow to them. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, that's fucking awesome. You could just make
I want to do it.
You could just install the lights into like a vanity type, not a vanity, but whatever the word for it is. Old people use to show their chinaware and stuff.
Isn't that awesome though?
Yeah, that's sick. Oh, it even has the green tint just by itself. That's cool.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think the guy's got a YouTube channel, or there's a guy with a YouTube channel, or it might be on one of the other social media platforms. And yeah, he has videos where he goes through different old thrift shops and stuff like that and shines his flashlight on the glass, and he finds normally at least one to, sometimes it'll be a lot, but at least a few every trip about.
Let's see if they have the answer. Why did they add radium to glass? Part of health and wellness fads.
Yeah, it's so intriguing. You know what I mean?
So the uranium byproduct one was.
So instead, they take out the radium and uranium, and they added
the actual color, yeah, and the UV reaction. Wow, so they glowed in the darks regardless. They would have a glow in the dark effect.
Oh,
regardless, apparently.
Yeah, like the first Indiglo watches, I guess, were the radium watches, huh? Or uranium.
And quackery. Public viewed radioactivity as a miracle health tonic. And this, the way I take the craze and the fad that radium and radioactivity was back in the day is kind of co-opted. Like that's what I think it is. Is like they would, I mean, use probably Marie Curie, like they were mentioning up here, like just use, they would get ahead of it in order to demonize it later. Because there was a lot back in the day. Like this was, and it's so funny to think that like in a time in the early 1900s that everybody was so like that was the main goal for everybody was to be like healthy at any cost, kind of weird. It's like, man, it's like I don't think that was healthy, but God, like, dude, it's better than what we got going on now. Now it's like unhealthy at any cost. Like whatever I can do to lower my life, I'll do it. That's basically what I see every day. And it's funny how those things are all, there's no shortage of it. There's, you don't see anybody demonizing the way people destroy their bodies, really. There's no like banning or public pushback, but radium and other things, those are banned. Those are staged, whatever chemicals and things that, you can't be in possession of.
Right. Yeah, no, it's being unhealthy is celebrated and encouraged now these days.
What a time to be alive it would have been in. I mean, I have my doubts about the legitimacy about a lot of the history that we're told, but let's just say that the early 1900s were at least somewhat like they say they are. I mean, just all these, in order to be a physician of any kind, you just had to like get a sign and boom. I'm in shop. I got a shop. I got a sign. I got a guy. I got, I can go to the local brewery and get them to make little bottles for me. And I can just put whatever the fuck I want in these things and just tell people it does shit. And boom, I'm there.
You just roll into a town, and if you have a white coat, you're good to go, man.
Oh yeah. That was probably the best, it makes you wonder where those white coats came from. Because I mean, like, everything was tweed. Denim wasn't invented, or was it? Yeah, I guess maybe denim was already invented. Well, no, actually.
When was denim invented? I don't know. 17th century.
Oh, okay.
And it's French.
Well,
wow.
Of course.
May 20th. Wow. Really?
Interesting.
Isn't that Cannonball Day?
Believe so. So everybody can see it. What is Levi Strauss? Is he Jewish? I think Strauss. Is that German or is it? Oh, it's German. That's it right there. Yeah, okay. Then again, people got to remember that there are a lot of Jews in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So those two things are still similar. Okay, so it was late 1800s that denim, as we know it, was invented. So yeah, they already had denim. Anyway, yeah, but as far as like the white science coat, what? It's such a weird concept to try to go back. There's so much. There's too much, and there's too much for a good reason. It's because no one's supposed to know everything. The goal should never be to know everything.
Yeah. That's how it is. It gets to, I think that's how with time, I believe it's just so easy. It doesn't even take but a couple generations. And you're catching someone at the tail end of their life who doesn't really care too much because they know they just don't have that much left. And you just have to hide something for a generation or two. Mm-hmm. And then you can pretty much move past it, and keep it buried for the most part, because you get a little bit of time, and then kind of like what you're talking about, you start uncovering a stone here, uncovering a stone there, but then you just find so much more. It gets insurmountable, or seemingly insurmountable.
And they hide the sources, we don't have our own means of creating source material. What I mean by that is everything has been fed down from us top down. Levi Strauss was not some normal dude. The progenitors of our world were not just regular people that stumbled upon it or were just unfortunately. And I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just not how it's worked. And in my personal opinion, I am of the belief set that it is a reset society. And have you ever heard of the X patents?
The X patents?
Yeah.
It sounds familiar.
These were the original patents for thousands of original machinery and things of that nature, and they all burned down at once inside of a building, the X patent building. But it
makes me think of, because you're talking about the reset, it makes me think of 1890, 1900. I think it's 90+% of the major, most successful and wealthiest corporations in today's world. If you trace them back, over 90% of them were established around 1900, within a year or two around 1900, after a potential reset, correct? You know what I mean? So some of them have changed their names. The corporation's name something different now, but if you walk it back and follow it back to around 1900, you'll see where 95% of corporations, successful, the top corporations today, were established or founded around 1900.
Absolutely. And that kind of gets into the genealogical mixing that I think we touched on briefly, but families will intermarry for specific reasons. One of those reasons being kind of a hiding, rebranding. A lot of that is in a way of rebranding two different two different businesses into a conglomerate or vice versa. But these X patents, they all supposedly burned down. What a story. Catastrophic fire at a temporary storage facility in Washington, D.C. But, over 10,000 patents from the early 1700s to the mid 1800s. So this is in my personal opinion, these are blueprints that existed. It's like the Ark, basically. In some form or fashion, this is a piece of the arc of Noah. This is knowledge from another civilization that all just happened to go, and then now they can control the flow of what comes out of it. So you can't ever backdate or back reference a Tesla invention or an Edison invention. You can't know if it was already something from before. They're the new originators. And that was kind of, the Top Hat clan, the people that, from the earliest stages of photography, you just see these, boisterous people, even for just a black and white photo, these, Kane and Top Hat people, the Monopoly men. These people are just all over the place.
Mustaches that like go down like this. the sideburns we've seen, the Van Buren or whatever.
And these people are the ones that, ran the World's Fairs and financed the World's Fairs. Was like, with what fucking money? After the Revolutionary War and after, like, where's the money? Where are these tycoons getting the money? It's like, it's very, very, the rabbit hole is large, but I don't think
the tycoons. I think they're funding. You could probably maybe walk it back to Bank of London, maybe Vatican City. I'm not sure. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, the Templars, which is funny. Talking about, he rubbed boots with Templars. Who was his contemporary, Aleister Crowley's contemporary of the time. He actually he is credited with the most used tarot decks nowadays. It's like Waite was his name.
Waite.
I think it's spelled like that. There we go. Waite Tarot.
Oh, yeah,
what was his name?
Tarot. Waite Hoyt? No, that's a baseball.
No. Let's just no. Arthur Edward Waite. That was Arthur Waite. So this guy he would go back and forth with Crowley in the papers. He was the one that accused him of being British intelligence and all sorts of stuff like that. But yeah, he's credited with the basically the tarot decks that you are going to see for the most part. All of these ones. This is from just a white guy. It's just a weird concept. I'm not saying that white guy couldn't be. It's just like, I don't know. I think a lot of people would put it this way. The average hippie girl or esoteric principled girl that wants to read her destiny through tarot cards, if you told her a tycoonite or a somebody who was heavily invested into intelligence, it was just a proper white guy, he's the one who came up with those. Do you think they'd still be happy to use? It's such a fucking
mind. Hey man, I got this brand new tarot deck. It's the Jared Kushner tarot deck. You want to
dude.
You want to read our fates and our souls, see where we're going?
I wouldn't be surprised if Trump came out with a tarot deck, with the Trump card, or at least a deck with him as the Trump card.
He has a Bible. All he's missing is a tarot deck, and he already does all the poses. He
does hold all the cards.
I mean, the name's all about it. Trump card. There you go, man.
So yeah, it's and this guy was he was a Rosicrucian, he was a Templar, all sorts of good stuff.
Well, I mean, to think about that though,
look at that, the gold standard, and he was a Templar.
Interesting. The 22 major arcana, 56 minor. Huh. All right. Well, what it just kind of makes me think. I forgot. I've heard this, but I totally forgot about. And you pointing out that it's kind of like this, white tycoon guy who started the most famous used tarot decks, or the most frequently used tarot deck in today's world. And kind of how we were joking about Jared Kushner tarot deck. But I mean, a lot of these people, I think, when they think about the tarot deck, you're talking about people that are involved in using a tarot deck or whatever. I think they probably, I don't know if they know the origins of it, but I mean, doesn't it kind of cheapen it whenever you kind of look and see where this guy?
That's what I would hope. That's what I'm saying. I don't think a lot of the people I don't think a lot of these people have this guy's poster up in their room. But
no, they don't think about
they
it.
maybe should. They should though. Like he's the big homie.
Yeah, well, instead of a guy with a suit and jacket, I think that they're probably thinking like some wizardly dude,
a mystic of some sort.
Exactly.
Yes,
but no, it's this guy. This is the guy.
This guy.
Okay.
This is and it's like you're not gonna go above this guy. Like this guy is going to run circles around you when it comes to the principles of tarot. Like you have to sit with that. Like you have people looking like, no offense, but people looking like you in a pop-up shop, with like beads and like a shawl on, like welcome in. And this guy walks in and he's like, no, you can't tell me nothing. I'm gonna tell you, son. And he would walk circles around, your whole what you thought, because he is the progenitor of the deck that you're using. You would want him to sign your deck.
Right.
That's wild.
Well, dude, he much more reminds me of when you think about a magician with a top hat and like a little, a wand or whatever. Funny. When you think about the white and the black, and that's what he reminds me of. But I don't think a lot of the people who, use tarot, I don't think they think about this being the origins or a guy like this being the origins of it. I think that they're thinking more along what you just said,
Yes, and like you said, it should cheapen it. But like I said, unfortunately, a lot of people just aren't versed enough in, and it's hard to be. I don't blame people for not being versed in like who came up with the modern, tarot decks that are used to this day. And I'm not saying he originated tarot either. That's not what I'm saying. But he is basically the father of modern tarot. And you're not going to hear Miss Cleo say that. She's not going to, there's a reason Miss Cleo looked like Miss Cleo. That matched the motif. He does not quite match the motif that you're going for when you're talking about astrology and astrophysics and tarot.
The issue rises though that's fine, not knowing the origin or whatever. But the issue I think rises, and it's not specifically with people involved in tarot. It's the same. One of the same elements you run into with Gematria or anything esoteric or occult, hidden knowledge, these things and origins of these things, is whenever if you were to, it'd be interesting as like almost like a social experiment, people who do practice tarot to like kind of inform them of this or ask them if they know and show them this and see what their reaction would be. I think a lot of people would get upset or frustrated at the very least, or, maybe bad vibes ish, if you were to kind of expose this to them, and to where the same thing happens with Gematria, like I was saying, or other things. It's showing them this would shake up their kind of fundamental belief about this thing that they're so involved in, and trust in so much. Like, because people who are doing tarot to get readings and stuff, I mean, you're pretty much,
you're not going. You walk into a tarot shop and this guy's sitting there, you're questioning a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, this is I'm out.
But I'm out. The simple fact is, this is what I love your analogy there with the magicians, because you make a great point. That was like a very hype time in America, was also, magicians as far as entertainment goes, and acting along those lines, certain things of that nature. But anyway, the magician aspect, that is funny that you do think of a magician as a white guy with a top hat and a suit and a cape. So like kind of like an aristocratic old early American. That's what you picture when you think of a magician. But then when you're doing magic yourself, that's the last thing you want to see. That's not what you want to think of. That's not what you want to look like. That's not what you want if you were wanting a reading. It's kind of like a weird thing. But then you also got to think of like the progenitors of modern like what is considered modern magic, and you look like even a Wiccan. Like go back and look at these people. Like Blavatsky, that chick. She's just a white Russian lady. She wears dresses. She's not like wearing like punk rock attire, and like she was rubbing toes with intelligence agencies and big ups and stuff. You look at Aleister Crowley, things of that nature. It's like, yeah, what he did was weird, but yeah, same as I'm sure this guy was very weird too. He talked about, he was big on bringing in sex magic into Freemasonry.
Hey, can I point something out about him real quick? Look at his side profile. This totally reminds me of, what's the guy's name? Is it Fry off Futurama? Look at his hair.
It does have the receding hairline, like upturned hair.
That's kind of wild. But dude, you're making me think about the point you're just making about the Aleister Crowley and the Helena, how do you say, Blavatsky? Okay. Mm-hmm. So 2026 today, it's like the Marina Abramovich and Rick Owens and their shows involved in the music industry or whatever, and they're seen kind of as the modern weird witchy type of people or a couple. I guess a lot of times it is a male and a female couple for some reason too. It's kind of weird.
But yeah, those people would owe their fame or whatever to somebody who looks like him. It's right. Like these things. I'm not saying they end with these people. I'm sure they had, trace for even further back. And this guy was a Templar. Like, what was their mission? Their mission was literally to go and get ancient secrets and bring them back to the Vatican. Yeah, they were the protectors of the money, but they also had it.
Hide this shit. Don't let anyone see it.
So, esoteric knowledge is their game. But yeah, it's like, you look at the most esoteric people that actually care about the progeny of these topics: magic, white magic, red magic, black magic, sex magic. That's another word for white magic, but the magic aspects of it, the astrophysics, astrotheology, all these different things. These are guys in suits in a circle in an unmarked tomb talking. You got to understand these things. These are like just normal looking white. And I'm not saying white as in like it can only be white. I mean, look at like modern times now. It's like, and I don't think that I'm of the firm belief that at the top there is no, I do think that there is a specificity for why there are different colored people, like different shaded people are just to play a little nicer. But I don't think when you, it's kind of like that. It's kind of similar to the analogy. It's just like the power money analogy. It's like you give up on your like holdups if your holdup is keeping you from X amount of power, you will give up on that holdup. Like that holdup you might have had, like, it's why I think that the KKK can be infused into any organization. And it's not because, and I don't think the KKK would even be based on race anymore, or be based, or if it necessarily even ever really was. There's a lot of crazy stuff. It's like, it's such a hard topics to breach, like KKK, Nazis, things of that nature. These are such hard topics to breach because people are just, they cannot sit on like any kind of information, like logically. There's an emotional response that takes over first and foremost, and they won't allow it anywhere past that. But the KKK, that's another one where it's just like, that seems to me that it's from my point of view, the race stuff, that seems to me like it was a front in order for them to do a lot more that had nothing to do with race than they ever did about stuff that had to do with race. And this is not coming from a sympathetic point of view either. Don't get it twisted. I'm not sympathetic of the Nazis or anything like that. I believe that there's a different story or a different version than what we've been fed that is more realistic than just a bunch of people that couldn't be reasoned with and were out for blood under, for one sound reason from the ramblings of one guy with a little mustache. I don't think that's like the average person you talk to, they literally think Hitler ran Germany, like just ran it. Like the homie just ran that shit. Like guys, that's not how anything has ever worked, ever. I don't believe Genghis Khan was the only one ruler of the Khans that was taking over. That's not even feasible. Like that's not even how male ego works. You cannot that's not unsustainable. It's unsustainable, and it's not realistic to me.
It's all orchestration, and it's all funded by. This is funding by the same. Both sides funded by the same entities or organizations. Rothschilds for World War II, and you're talking about Little Mustache Man. He was funded by the Rothschilds just as much as the other side. It was both sides,
Yep, and I think a lot of what's missed in World War I and II is the destruction of the old world and how much of it they destroyed. And have you ever heard of Operation Gomorrah? That's one I like to talk about because it was a joint effort between the U.S. and the British to lay siege to a German town, very similar to the other one that they did that to. They did another one very similarly where it was just all they said that there was a stockpile of weaponry or weapons or warehouses of weapons, but so they firebombed a whole town. Was that Hamburg or is Hamburg Gomorrah? I can't remember. There's two different German towns that just after the war that absolutely just got thousands and thousands of civilians were killed after the war by Allied forces, and all under the guise of, oh no, this is to make sure that they don't retaliate after the war is supposed to be over. No, but
we missed a couple old world buildings, so you better get over there.
No, that's what's crazy is you look at these before and after pictures, and you're looking at insane craftsmanships in the buildings. It's like Gomorrah or like that. Okay. Hamburg is the Gomorrah one. But if you look into this, I won't go too much, but it says the first of the firestorms. You see that? Yeah. This was like a 2-day raid. So for a whole day, they were sprinkling let me stop me when something sounds familiar to you. These planes were sprinkling or spraying aluminum silicates along with an inflammatory into the sky above Hamburg for like a whole day. And then they used whatever types of fighter jets they had back in the day. I say jets, but these, you guys can picture them, just the faster little planes. They were using these planes and flying in specific patterns in order to, and while bombing, they would bomb a specific area while the planes flew overhead. That literally made a tornado appear, a fire tornado.
Wow.
Fire tornadoes. Like they would be making tornadoes with planes. This is back in 1940 something.
Well, dude, and I think 1952 is when, oh my gosh, dude.
And by the way, that is what's funny about this is that is what happens to brick buildings when they burn. This is a more accurate depiction. You don't see this in all the U.S. cities that supposedly burnt down. They are destroyed. Like they got stomped on by Godzilla.
Those are literally like shells. Those buildings are just shells.
Because they're made of brick. Because bricks don't fucking burn like that.
They do not.
Yeah, this is actually a really detailed image.
Well, so it makes me think, because the first time I learned of the Royal British Air Force admitting to weather warfare was from Zach, talking about that in 1952. And this is what, 7-8 years before that. So doing this, they probably kind of had to say something, I imagine, after running an operation like this. Timing wise of when this is compared to when the Royal British Air Force came out and publicly addressed weather warfare. I mean, yeah. So it's like 10 years before is when they started this operation. Yeah. That's kind of the timing's interesting to me,
Yeah, good point. And yeah, this is a very high res image, by the way. Like, this is extremely high resolution image. That poor
What
kid
were the
biking.
coordinates? Yeah, dude, this is a great picture. What
But
were the
also,
coordinates on that real quick? When you scroll down, it said that it was at 54 degrees north. Oh, almost 53. All right. 53 and 10. Okay. Sorry.
no, you're fine. No, that does play into a lot of things sometimes, or a lot of the time. But I wanted to pay attention to look at the tree line. Does this remind you of anything? Like maybe a fire hurricane that might have hit a specific state not that long ago that burned everything but the trees?
Yeah. There's a little Maui action going on right here. Some Paradise, California looking stuff.
Yep.
All right.
And if you guys don't know about like German cities, which by the way, everybody should look into the supposed creation of the grid systems for their cities. It's very fascinating. It's very fun to look into that kind of stuff. It takes you down somewhere. Huh?
There's a blue Volkswagen. Wasn't that what they did in Paradise, California? The blue, the Volkswagen?
The blue stuff was all left untouched.
Well, think about it. Volkswagen, German. Mm-hmm. We're looking at
that's a good point.
Right here, you know.
But yeah, this it was definitely an experiment. It was definitely and like you said, the German government, the heads of these countries are complicit because to them there's no borders. The world is owned by them. They don't think of things in the same way we think of things. They keep us thinking of things in the same way we think of things. So we don't have allies. We don't have allies, guys. Our country, it borders Canada and Mexico like they're separate entities. Like the people in Texas don't go through the same weather as northern Mexico. Like it's like they're in another, like if you cross the border, oh, I'm in another country, it feels different. Oh boy, it's the same shit, bro. You go, and just the fact that I think that's a lot of the reason why borders are such a mainstream topic is because it's, I think, one of our last chances. I think that when I see certain things playing out the way they are, like as far as the borders go, I don't think of them as like, I don't think of what's going on as just like, oh, this is just really happening. I think of things as like, why is it happening? Why are they pushing this? What is the reason for why they would push this? Why would they go through such great lengths to embolden nations to be so turtled up? If it wasn't for any reason, if they didn't want, like, think about all the different reasons they're giving you to not go to other countries in recent years. There's like and now look at like what it even means to be able to go to another country. You have to get a specific ID nowadays to even go to other countries. What is the real ID? Oh, the real ID. What the fuck did I have before?
Yeah, right.
And it's like, if you are complicit in getting a real ID, what does that mean? What are you actually signing up for? Like, what did you just okay? Is it actually just so that you can go to what does that give you access to? Costa Rica or whatever these other, annexed islands that we have, or, it's, I don't know, dude. It's, to me, I think there's a definite reason why they want us all shelled in, and so we don't have. It's so that they can manage the assault, and it always has been that. But I'm saying, like, recently, and even if you think of like travel, like air travel has just been under attack. I wouldn't be surprised if a form of transportation is used as the next terrorist attack, whether it's a train or a plane or a boat. A lot of boat bombs and boat bombing, and
you had the hantavirus cruise ships.
Yeah,
don't want to do a boat either. With the planes flying.
That big hoax.
You catch some disease on a boat.
Isn't that funny that that just went away? The guy who was like the main proponent of the hantavirus being on that cruise was like an actor paid for by the fucking cruise.
Yeah, he had
and
COVID.
just nobody cares.
Yeah, he had videos for the virus, the C virus, right? So that's why you haven't seen it. He's gone away because the next one's coming. So he's reading his scripts. He's studying up to make sure he's got some social media videos to drop on us for this next little.
And it's just like, you have a phone, you're on the ship. Show the thousands of people. Show all the damn people that are supposedly on this ship.
I've seen where someone was playing whenever his like little video message that he's sending out to the world from the ship, and if they kind of zoomed in on his eyes, and you could just see he's literally just reading. His eyes are going left to right, reading his script. It's bad. And they like would point out whenever he's doing a pause, like an awkward pause that it's not supposed to be there. Is obvious shifting in next page or whatever.
Well,
the guy did a really good job pointing that out. You know,
you want to know something?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the obviousness is purposeful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because 90+% of people won't even think about it after seeing it. They won't even it won't even cross their mind, or even if it does, they won't know what to do with the information or care about it enough to do anything about it.
Well, I think it's two things. Like you said, that they won't even think about it. But I think the more dangerous and the scarier and just more depressing almost reason is number two is that they just won't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm with you. I'm glad you brought that up because I've been saying that, to people like, you can definitely tell a difference from the things that have been happening, and especially the last like year to 2 years worth of time. It seemed like these events that they would try to kick off maybe 5-10 years ago, they did want to try to get away with it without, sparking people's, alarms bells going off and being like, hey, what's this or that, or questioning the things. They wanted to try to sneak these things through. I'm totally with you. Of recent times, these events and these little, shenanigans that they put on the stage, it's these events and these shenanigans they put on the world stage are so obvious. And so it's like you were saying, why do they want me to see this? Why are they wanting Oliver Tree? He's got music videos with helicopters, things he's said. It's so obvious that the Antarctica video, all these things, it's so obvious that there's something up with this. You know what I mean? It's too obvious to just be generic. Oh, they took him out. The record company took him out. No, dude.
Oliver Tree, that whole thing was, I meant to say at least something about it, because one of my best friends back when he used to work at the restaurant with me, he was all into Oliver Tree.
Well, he has that Antarctica video thing, this long documentary about Antarctica, and people are going out saying like, oh, he saw something down there he wasn't supposed to. And it's like, no, dude, there's like Antarctica documentary is the fakest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's a joke. You know what I mean? There's no truth in all this shit with Oliver Tree. There's no truth in there. He has so many interviews, so many things talking about when he's gone, when he songs like that, lyrics like that, dies in a helicopter accident. There's a video, one of his music videos where he literally has like helicopters all around him, standing between two helicopters.
It's a joke, and I associate it with just being a big litmus test for people to see, how much they can get away with. Like you were saying, like the ramping up that they're doing, like the Charlie Kirk thing. It's just like, that seemed to me like at least 50-50 for a hot minute. Like the way it seemed, I'm not sitting there talking to every single person about it. I don't keep that big of a circle anymore to gauge like a large amount of people in real circles. But at least online, from what they gave you, it did seem like there was, a lot of people hitting the doubt button on that one because of how many coincidences that were just wide open. It didn't take Zach level decodes to understand a lot of the coincidence surrounding that one. Although knowing those, just fuck, dude, it's no brainer. But look at all the stuff they've done since, like the Erica Kirk shit. It's just like, okay, they're just literally just shitting and pissing all over you, and you just are just laying there taking it tonight. But it's like, why would they do that? Like, why do they need to even televise a funeral? What was all of that? Why they did it? It's not like they had to do it. It's not like there would have been outrage if there wasn't a public funeral. Who would have been who? What are the groups that would have been outraged? Nobody. So they do these things on purpose in order to just gauge reactions, in my opinion. And it has to do with psychological indexing, in my opinion. And that what a lot of people don't know about psychology too is that is the root of psychology, is indexing basically every single thing to do with reactions based on a known, like you take a known not, I keep wanting to say reaction, but you take a known like concept of psychology and then you put it through the rigors, you put it through the machine and see under which what outcome you get under which category. And there's, I'm sure many categories to every single concept, but that just means there's a lot of tests that need to be taking place, because obviously we understand that there's a lot of concepts in psychology, because we're good examples of that. We've all gone through hundreds, if not thousands, of those things that are needing to be indexed. And once you have that index and you have AI running it, you have something that can read the temperament of somebody. And you like, think about all the robot movies that do that. Like that'll scan the person in order to like know how to like approach the situation. And just from that scan, like reading your face, reading your mannerisms, reading your body heat, things of that nature, they're able to formulate a plan to get something over on you, or to at least avoid suspicion or whatever it is. And yeah, so it's like, if you have these things written into it, never mind a robot doing it, but like just say psychologists had this at their fingertips, which they kind of do. That's kind of what psychology is about, is understanding basically the minute details of every major concept. And so that they can, sure, it's to help people. I'm sure it's all just to help people. I'm sure that, it's one of those things. It's just like, yeah, I'm sure psychologists should be paid more than heart surgeons, but yeah, or like child.
Well, you made me think of. I've seen how a lot of grocery stores are starting to have. They're going to start implementing these AI shopping carts. I don't know if you've seen this. Mm-hmm. There's literally cameras all over the thing. It's got like a tablet on it, but basically the whole time that you're pushing this thing around, it's just reading everything about you, scanning you, a lot of things you're bringing up. I think it pretty much registers as soon as you drop it into the cart. There's the scanners around the rim, so it scans as you put it in the cart and everything. But I mean, yeah, that's not about making it more efficient shopping trip, or dude, what that's about is gathering. You're talking about indexing all these different things, and I think it's going to be, or if it isn't already, like kind of an unfathomable for the regular person to even think about all the things that they are trying to index. Because I think they're pretty much trying to index every breath a human being takes in this world. I think that's what they're trying to do. They want to have every second of someone's life categorized and documented and indexed,
Exactly. And through that, they can, the individual index is just one facet of it, but like your whole life index would be condensed into a larger index that you represent a portion of a psychological concept. Like if you lived a life that led you to this point, another person led a similar life and led them to this point. What made them different? What made them similar? I know this like, who cares? Who would care about this? It's just like, yeah, okay, yeah. Who would care about Satan? Who would care about God? Who would care about El Dorado, who would care about anything, but like people do, and they rule over you. So it's worth looking into. It's worth thinking about
Well, and this is
sometimes,
where it
guys.
gets meta, because that exact thing that you are specifying or kind of laying out right now, of that this potentially or is the interest of why they want to do these things, it's kind of obvious to me. Like what you're saying, I think that absolutely. But you know, they're wanting to index all these different things, and you're kind of how you're showing how your life started here and it ended to here, this person's similar track, and what makes all the different elements and variables that make that happen. Well, what do they need to do to figure all that out? They basically need to analyze it through like running simulations of it, you know, to where they have the predicting power, to where if this is a person that's born this place on this time and this way or whatever, this is where the outcome will be. They want to know the outcome. If the powers that be, the controlling bodies, the controlling organizations, what they want is to know the end before the end happens, because they want to control it to the end. So that's where it gets kind of meta almost with all the tech that is coming out too, and what you're talking about there with that, you know, kind of they're basically talking about simulating life cycles to be able to predict what a person is going to do, you know, or what a person's life is going to be like. And that's where it gets kind of wild, you know, with the tech that's starting to come out. And this is an interest. This is what they're interested in. That's why they have cameras and biometric readers and things that it wouldn't even make sense to have them in, that you wouldn't even think about, you know?
Yeah, let me ask, like, it goes the same way as, like, why would all these tech companies want to buy what websites you've been looking at? It's like, okay, you can sit there and say, yeah, it's so that they can easier sell you stuff. When's the last time you clicked on a fucking banner to buy something? Whoever has done that?
Yeah, right.
What are we talking about here? Like, I don't even understand. Even if you click the banner, what lengths are you willing to go to get whatever was on that banner? Like, what is... That's not even a concept that's even human. That's not even a human concept. I'm not even joking.
Right.
But then also, what they're able to use is what they're doing is they're establishing a law higher than the law that's current. We have something called the law of averages that generally plays out. And why the law of averages exists is because there's a scientific method behind it that was observed by scientists, by people who were indexing. So they indexed enough to understand that averages play out a similar way, or things play out a similar way that tends to lean towards an average. Well, they are going above that, and they want to control the average. So think about it, like, what the word average, does that have a good or a bad connotation in today's terms? Like, if you're calling someone average, it's never to be nice. It is to highlight someone, almost to say that they're autonomous, or that like they can be. To me, it seems like you're highlighting somebody that is easy manipulated, or stupid, or just run of the mill. They're just bumping into. These are the people you're talking about when you're talking about an average person. And so they want as many people in that category. You don't want a bunch of outliers. You don't even want a bunch of guys wanting to join the Jesuit order. That's not what they want. They don't want a bunch of people, right. Hey, let me in the club. I'm willing to do anything. They don't want that shit either. They want a bunch of people that barely read, barely know how to read, barely know how to interpret things, barely know how to take care of themselves, barely know how to, forage for food, let alone find food, let alone grow food, let alone know what food is in order to not eat Cheetos as your main meal. This is the people they want. They don't want either end. They don't want the people who could barely stand. That's just a body they have to clean up. They don't want the guys that want to join them. They're not trying to enlarge their ranks. They're trying to keep our ranks manageable. That is the end goal. Now you can sit there and say, oh yeah, 8 billion people. How are you going to? Yeah, that's where borders come in. And then you have the average people will hold up the ideals for the majority, for everybody, because the average are the majority. If they're all made, if you funnel a concept, a psychological concept into people. They will pool into a majority of people that we have nowadays. And those people will be the first ones to tell you that COVID was real. They'll be the first ones to tell you that they had an aunt that saw the tower come down, and she was, these are those people. These people will hold up the concept for their leaders without even realizing they're doing it. And I think it was one of our episodes where we talked, I don't consider myself or you or Austin or any of us anyone special. Like, I just think that there is a connect and disconnect. We are outside of that conglomerate, for better or worse. We're outside of that conglomerate for whatever reason. Like I said, everyone's indexed, and they want to know why we are. They want to know why we are. They want to know what's going on there. Just the same way they want to make sure that everybody is in the middle and why they went into the middle so that they can replicate it. They want to know why we're not in the middle so they can eliminate it. So that's my take on it.
You made me think, earlier you were talking about the smart cities and corralling everybody in there, into the little smart cities and not wanting people to travel. And that's what you kind of remind me of with saying that right there too, and bringing up the borders. But yeah, it's about, like, to me, it makes sense. Like, they want everyone in the little 15-minute cities, in the little smart cities. They don't want you traveling. They don't want you to go very far away, because when they go to implement whatever their planned or agenda is, not having the masses being freely able to move all around, it's going to be way easier to focus in on wherever they're targeting. You know what I mean?
And they're able to stress test their infrastructure, road closures. Think about simple things like this. Now, look, we can sit here and say, "Oh, you're stretching." Okay, sure. Let's play devil advocate with me. Let's just say, just hear me out. You have road closures that seem so, like, crazy. Like, think about like a New York, for example, or a major urban city. We have a road closure that forces people to go to a whole nother bridge, forces tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people through another avenue. Now, do you think it's not in their best interest to index how that goes as a stress test? Even just, like, take away the clandestine, like, evil doing. Don't even think about that. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you want to know if that's able to be handled in case a road has to be closed, in case a bridge collapses, in case, bridge collapses, those things have been happening. In case something happens, these things have been stress tested. These aren't things, when you think of like a bridge collapsing, you'd say, oh yeah, but no bridges have ever collapsed. So, like, it's not like they've been yes, they've been closing off roads. They've been pushing people into other areas and knowing how it goes. One of my favorite things I talk about is, do you remember the Damar Hamlin collapsing, the Buffalo Bills player? The whole like Hiram Abiff ritual they did on the field, which was like insane. Like, that's the insane part of it. I went past that though. That was the first time ever that an NFL game had been canceled mid-game. Everybody went home after that. They did not play another snap. Now, will there be a riot? Are there going to be a bunch of people demanding management for the Coliseum or for the stadium, wanting their refund? What about everybody going home? This game doesn't end for another hour and a half. There's going to be an hour and a half early onslaught of traffic. This is something they want to know how it's going to go. Are people going to be driving erratically after the game? How is this going to affect this time's worth of traffic? Like, I literally think about that kind of thing as a stress test for something of that magnitude. It could have easily gone to a riot. Like, look at what happens when teams win. They riot. They tear apart their city. You telling me you're sending thousands of people home without the game being finished? A bunch of people who bet on the game aren't going to got their bets disqualified. You know the thing that came out from that game? Oh, it was crazy. There was a lot to do with Vegas in that game that people didn't even talk about because of the spectacle being so much. And Damar Hamlin coming back with the Jesus jacket on the cross with the crazy, there was a lot of things that kept people from thinking about the finer, minute details of it. But I was thinking about the minute details, and I'm like, that's just crazy. That's New York.
Well, I'm
You're not
familiar
sending
with
all those people home and they're just chilling.
I'm familiar with them canceling the games and stuff, dude. You know, because like we were talking about earlier about weather warfare. You know, and when sometimes games, especially in baseball season, they get rained out.
Baseball does.
It's not an accident. Certain games, you just, and especially being on Zach's Patreon, kind of following along every day with the different games here or there. You can kind of see like, oh, that was kind of a weird rain out postponed game for those two teams right there. You just kind of see some fishiness going on. Well, you're talking about that, dude. I love that point about the DeMar Hamlin, or not just that, but road closures and studying, not nefarious, just studying how whenever you have to funnel people and change people's routes and studying that. That's a great point. Of it doesn't have to be a negative, nefarious thing all the time. Yeah, just literally they want to index and study and see what happens when X, Y, or Z happens as far as where the people are traveling. Like emotionally, like you were talking about, ending the game with Jamar Hamlin, ending the game mid, people's bets, or the fact that, going to an NFL game is expensive. These people there's regular people that have probably had to work and save up for
work off to go.
They absolutely took off all these things,
People from out of state. They're not coming back to Buffalo to get a refund or whatever they planned. There was no regame, so it was it's crazy. It's funny. This has been a super fun discussion. I do have to bounce. I was able to go a little bit longer. My girl was out longer than intended, but dude, I want to know what you guys think about. If you guys have anything to add to the Aleister Crowley stuff too, there is a lot. Like, there's a lot I left on the table. There's a lot to do with the conspiracies, the pop culture references. I never got to that. There's a million pop culture references to Aleister Crowley or Thelema. If you guys know of any, leave them in the comments. Hit me up. If you can email me even like tons of sources or whatever you guys want to do. But anything you have to add to the conversation or what you want to talk about next week, please feel free. I know I opened up the show with, a kind of a, what is it? A guideline moving forward for how to, address the channel, or at least how I hope we can address the channel, or, how you can, participate with the channel. And I hope that we are able to agree on those terms, because I do want to hear from more people every single week. It's open for everybody to join, as many people want to. It's just, I get very few requests, and the people who requested have all joined, all but one who wasn't able to use his mic, which I still feel terrible about, has been on the show. So if you guys have something that you want to share or that you think is poignant for other people to know, use this platform. It's not my platform. You can borrow the platform that I'm borrowing in order to have a discussion and have a conversation, and they generally tend to lead to more. As every 93 episodes in, that's pretty much been the formula from the entire run, has been a discussion leads to a bigger discussion, to a bigger discussion, to a bigger discussion. So hopefully you guys can put your hat in the ring, and we can, make something bigger happen. I do want to talk to King Richard and see if we can at least have a 4-person panel. If you want to be involved with that, Uncommon, you're more than happy. As far as I'm concerned, if you're available every Sunday, I'm sending you a link. So I kind of alluded to it as you being like a guest host, at least, rather than just a guest, because I've been calling you a guest. But if you are working towards hostdom, then you're on my first ballot. So,
dude, I'll hop on every week,
All right, sounds good. So yeah, guys, look forward to me and Uncommon Truth Shaman back again. What is it? July 5th, I believe. Next Sunday. So please do leave us any remarks or comments in order to hopefully we can come up with something for next week.
Mm-hmm.
that even goes for you. If you have something, buddy, just hit me up in the email and we can. I'll try to do some homework. But yeah. With that being said, hope you guys have a fantastic week, and we will see you next Sunday. Later.
Y'all take it easy.